Thank you very much, Milos. Yes, let's get into it, Tim. A nice little best of three to warm us up and now end off our week on a Sunday, and one that, as we said, does look a little bit one-sided. However, maybe there is something quite special to be looking at here. Maybe Lost can get things going on Fortress and take a map away, because if they can't do it here, to me, it's probably going to be a 2-0.
Yeah, I think this is the roll of the dice, isn't it? This is the one you've got to come away with if you want to get anything out of the game. So let's see how it goes for Lost, and they're going to get things underway, kicking us off on the attack, which can be a little bit tough here on Fortress. It's still a new map. We always say the same things of new maps. Attacking takes time to get used to when you come to it. So we'll see how they do, but these opening rounds are going to be particularly important for them, of course. Fluxo w7m will start us out as expected, out in command and bathroom. So watch out if maybe this is your first time watching Fortress. You're thinking, hey, where are they going to attack? What's going to happen? Well, you need to look at the rooms right in front of you at the minute. Dorms and games, generally we'll see a lot of action around there. I'd expect Fluxo w7m to have 1 or 2 players out there to prevent that push coming in from the old tower drop. So you're going to want to work kind of bottom of the map up if you're the attackers. We don't tend to see too much action from courtyard, which as a top down would be the top right of your screen, or the area we're looking at now, Eagle and White Stairs. We do see a little bit of that sometimes, but it tends to be much more Horse, Central Stairs and Games and Dorms.
Yeah, we see some really interesting scraps on this map. You know, not just the other day, we had Falcon's Secret throwing down this map as well, and it was an absolute masterclass by Falcons overall. Always forcing out 3v1s, making great use of the intel operators that, of course, we've now seen expand with the addition of Snake. And interestingly, on these teams, we do have 2 players that basically main our intel operators, looking on one team in towards Lobin, on the other looking in towards Nux. They play a lot of Dockerby, a lot of Deimos, and a lot of Snake, so much to look forward to there. So we'll see when those operators start coming online. Of course, with the Snake being banned away, you won't see too much of it in this half, but that could change.
Okay, then let's see who gets that entry. It was something that Leo put on the desk there, and it's going to be an important one. Loss have seen themselves struggle a little bit with that start. Let's see if they can do something a little bit better here on the attack. The onus is with them, really, to go in and create space. Exactly as I suggested, we've got Nux working on that Monte, going towards the south side of the map. He's going to be trying to work his way in towards games to begin with. He's got a little bit of support there from Perez, I think it was, on the Maverick as well, who's taken the old tower drop. So that is where the initial fights are going to come to.
There you go. There's your first entry. You heard Leo speaking on the desk about the importance of Daffo and how he's been a fragger for this team, was, you know, one of the stars previously as well. He's going to start things out here with an entry on towards Lobin, who I've often said is a very, very aggressive player. He has got the most entry engagements on this team too. So even though his role has changed a little bit, his actual impact hasn't transformed massively. Either way, starting to get ourselves lined up. The shield, of course, being the one to watch out for. Nux is the one who has got that shield in back pocket. Course being challenged at the same time as we start moving in here towards meeting. Very often that is the main battleground on this top floor. You can control a meeting, you can do whatever you want, but until you've wrestled it away from the defenders, it can be quite tough sometimes. For the most part, they've opted to largely go around it though, Tim. You can see Horse is the big focus to trying to work their way through now. Palu knows about this too, asking questions down towards that side of the map, but that's 3 or 4 of them all now bearing around that Horse side, but also rotating back around the meeting. So they've got what they need, except time. We're down to the last 25.
Yeah, that's the problem here. They're going to have to push in and get aggressive 5 versus 4, so they do have a slight man advantage, but there is still utility to play for. Cons has 1 Toxic Babe left in pocket. He has sent that out. Not sure if he's detonated it yet. 10 seconds left to go, and the gunfights do start rolling. Palu manages to find Dart Dash. Got dots along the way. His former teammate taken down. 3 versus 2. 2 seconds left to go. There's no opportunity, really, is there, to put this diffuser down? Yes, the Monty manages to find a bit of space.
Ooh.
I was just about to say, but here comes Cons. However, they managed to react, get the shutdown, and Loss take the first attack. A good start for them.
Tell you what, I thought for a second that was a golden opportunity for Cons. If he gets the second kill onto the player inside the bathroom, there's only the Monty left. And that makes it sound easy. There's only a Monty left. Like, yay, wow, we get to play the shield bashing game for days, guys. But it came really close, and I was worried because I thought Fluxo managed to run the clock down enough there that Lost would struggle to get the diffuser down. But because they had meeting, because they had this pressure around Horse, they didn't actually bother with trying to go for command control. Get the small blitz they needed, make sure they have enough to be able to influence Bathroom itself and get that diffuser down. It was a good, effective execute they pulled off. Just for my liking, left it a little bit close to the wire. However, job done is job done. They're up 1-0.
It's a great start. It's a great start on the attack. Like I said, any attacking rounds that you can take on Fortress are going to be big moments for you. This time we'll be attacking onto the next site of choice for Fluxo w7m, which will be Games and Dorms, the area I was talking about last time. So much like we used to on Villa, really, you will see a little bit of an inverse here. So, you know, to give you that comparison on Villa, we used to have over on the Aviator side, you'd then see the push coming in from maybe Master Bedroom, and when you were in Master, you'd see the push coming in from Study and Aviator. So we're going to see a little bit of that here. We'll see that push coming in from the attackers on that top side, looking to get meeting control in particular. Maybe a little bit of Bathroom, work their way in from there. However, we would usually expect to see a little bit of pressure from that old tower side as well. So this one, it's, if I had to liken it to anything, maybe a little bit of Church and Arsenal. There's no vertical there, but if you think of that clubhouse site, there's a number of angles that you want to attack from. Here, you're thinking central stairs, you're thinking old tower drop, which is what we're looking at now, straight in towards site, and you're maybe even thinking a little backstab out from Eagle side. See what you can do. This is one where you really want to put pressure on multiple sides and get those defenders turning around.
Look at this, that they're putting the Duckabee call, and immediately they've started moving on forward here, trying to bypass a lot of the defense, but no! Nux is going to be one of the main spearheads for this round, but now with him going down the blitz, that's a little bit of a starve away. That was their surprise. That was the element of surprise they had to play within this round. So, but now they've lost that and lost the shield. I think it starts to fall apart from here. Angles being held, but Dark is also being taken down there. Bearing in mind, he's on the Duckabee. That's no second call to come online for them. Perez walks into an easy death, and Fluxo can just very calmly play this one out now. Tim, they're in a 3 versus 2.
Yeah, that kill onto Dark was a big loss there for Lost because he was the backstab. He was the one who'd worked into Bathroom, as I was suggesting. So he was the one that was causing Fluxo w7m to have to look around. As it is now, it's all coming kind of from one side. So Fluxo w7m will know that. They don't need to worry about command, don't need to worry about meeting, don't need to worry about Bathroom. They can just front up to these two players, one old tower and one central stairs. Both low health, should be an easy mop up now for Fluxo w7m realistically. There's a ton of time left on the clock, so that is something that Lost can use maybe, but I don't think it's going to do them too much good.
And that was the gamble they took on this one, right? Bypass the entire setup up towards the northwest side of the top floor, focus everything on the southeast around Old Tower, like you say. Because that's failed, they're going to really have to clutch up big to come back and win this one, and Dash could be on to do it. He's found two more to go, but both him and Daffo are a single bullet from death.
I mean, they've managed to find the first, so not the end of the world. And let's not, you know, pretend Fluxo w7m aren't in difficult positions themselves HP-wise. But Dordes managing to find Dash, that is a big moment for Fluxo w7m here. 30 seconds left to go. Daffo does have diffuser in hand, so he does have the opportunity to play around with that audio a little bit, maybe bait them out into a challenge. But the problem that he's got is, I think it's Dordes who's closer to... No, it's actually not. It's Lobin who's closer to him, who's lower health. But Lobin has decided to get himself out of there. He knew the fight wasn't one he wanted to take. Leaves it to his teammate. Dordes mops it up. Fluxo w7m take round 2.
Completely understand why he didn't want to commit to the defuse, but that probably could have worked out best for him at the end of the round. All you really gave chance there was the clock to become a third man there in that 1 versus 2 and ultimately give Fluxo the round. So 1 apiece so far, Tim. Not too bad. Now we're going to find ourselves heading downstairs to Waiting and Cafe. Or not. We're going to retry upstairs. Baited.
Yeah, look, so the downstairs site is a bit of a funny one at the minute on Fortress. It's actually got quite a good defender win rate. I'm surprised that Fluxo w7m haven't gone down there, or at least it did. I'm talking about stats after SI, to be fair. Maybe it's changed in Kickoff. I will have a look. But historically, teams have struggled to attack onto that site, and there's a couple of good reasons for that. A lot of the pressure tends to just focus through the hatch that we're seeing now in meeting. But there's not a lot of verticality. There is a lot of verticality, but there's not a lot of verticality that seems to do too much for the attackers. Teams will go up there with the ram, with the book, they'll open things up, but they don't tend to gain too much from it necessarily. So a lot of the time, we've actually seen, and this was a big thing at Six Invitational, we saw a lot of teams bypassing that top floor. They didn't bother attacking up there. They didn't bother trying to take the ground or use the verticals. They just went direct to site horizontally instead. And so it's a little bit of an interesting one, and we saw the defenders definitely having some joy there. So I think with command and bathroom open, absolutely go back there again, give it another try. The thing that it does make interesting is if they win here, we will have to see that bottom floor site. They will be pushed there, Fluxo w7m. So let's see, you know, whether that happens, and if it does, how they go about holding on to it.
Absolutely. It was good last time, like you say, so I'm not really too pressed on them going back here. I think it's probably a good idea. Downstairs can be a bit chaotic at the best of times. I'm looking at what Lost have brought along this time around to try and mix things up a little bit as well. Rather than the slower approach we had coming out of the Monty, it is extremely execute focused. So still finding a way to focus on getting the plants down, even without the glass on side. Probably worth noting they are the top planting team that we have, about 30% out compared to the average of about 13 or so. They love going for the objective. But here, yet again, they've lost the shield as their entry team. You can't keep on doing that as a blitz. For twice now, that's in nuts going down. Perez falls just after. Parlo into a third. This has fallen apart to him before they can even say the world go.
Yeah, I think, you know, round one was a good steadier. It was a good opener, a good foundation for Lost, but we're starting to see a little bit more of, I think, what we maybe expected out of this matchup. And, you know, and that's not to say that Lost can't be competitive here, but Fluxo w7m know what's at stake. The winner of this goes through to the Salt Lake City Major. It's a big, big deal, and they are now starting to really stretch their legs here in round three. We see the Nitro come in and get the final kill, and as you say, Des, quite rightly, easy. Fluxo w7m just mopping them up without too much of a difficulty there, and doing really, really well. So Fluxo w7m, they get the advantage that we might have expected. They've got themselves a couple of rounds in a row, so will now have to go to that bottom floor site. But they're only going to play it once. Good chance of that. If they play it here in round 4, they can then cycle through the other 2 in round 5 and 6. You know, they get to ban an operator that's going to be a particular nuisance. The Monty, we've seen that being relied upon by Lost. So, yeah, I think good ideas here from Fluxo w7m, and as predicted, they'll be downstairs.
I do start to worry a little bit for Lost, because across those 2 rounds that we've seen them live up to their name in and losing them, losing them, if you want to say it that way, it has been very reliant on the shield being the main entry point. It's had a Dockerby normally in behind them for the information, and then everyone else has been focused on the execute. And it's just not worked out, Tim. They keep on trying the same thing, and I think at this point, Fluxo know, well, this is how they like to play. We know that they love play. Like, all Nooks will play as shields. It's all we've ever seen him really play so far throughout Kickoff to this point. We know that they love trying to get the bomb down, so we know everything is going to be a very, very focused round on the site itself. It's not going to be a hyper-aggressive roam clear style round, and that is why I think throughout Kickoff we've seen them with this awful entry record that Leo was speaking about, 40%. It has been ugly. Teams win by tripping them up early on, but when Lost do get the entry, because it's part of an execute, they've got the highest win percentage of any team in Kickoff so far for actually going on to convert the round. So I think the constant trick is, if you can trip them up early round and stop them getting towards an execute, you're going to come out on top. And you've seen that from the lineups that Fluxo kept on bringing along. Lots of trap operators, information, and little like obstacles they put before them. Here it's things like Azami and Castle on looking towards Solis and Ella for the more trap-based operators. They're just constantly making headaches for Lost here, and I think they've really got to try and find a way through this. Otherwise, they're done. And like I said earlier on, they either win Fortress, and it maybe goes 2-1. Maybe they win 2-1, or Fluxo win 2-1. If we see Fluxo win this map, I think it's a 2-0 personally.
I'm not sure about the necessity for the Monty ban. So they've brought the Monty consistently, and they've actually dealt with it really well. They've got the kills on it. It's not been too much of a problem. And now they've forced Nux onto... They knew he was going to continue bringing shields, and it was going to be Blackbeard or Blitz. He's chosen to go Blitz this time. But I would, you know, obviously class Blitz and Blackbeard as the more aggressive shields. They've got the ability to enter fights a lot easier. Monty is heavy intel. He's about pushing and gaining space, but he's not necessarily a lethal threat. And if you've been dealing with him without too much of a problem, I'd keep an eye on Nux here, because you don't want to accidentally level somebody up. You know, if they're bringing a shield they've been struggling to get kills on and struggling to make an impact, you put them on another one that they have to get more aggressive. Lo and behold, Nux gets the entry. Could have created their own problem here, Fluxo w7m.
I'd argue the reverse, but we'll see how the round plays out first and foremost, because at this point, they've got themselves in and asking a couple of questions inside of medical, but they've actually got to step forward and get a couple more kills off the back of it. They've lost the sense, so the actual go-to execute isn't quite there, but there is tons of utility in the back pocket of Dash here that he can make use of to smoke out these key doorways, these bottlenecks inside of this site, and make an execute happen. Still loads of time to play with as well. No rush here. They need to take their time.
Nux is getting aggressive, and look at that, just takes the attention as Dash comes over the top rope, drops onto Dores with a big elbow drop and takes him out.
Easy.
And Los have just got their number absolutely everywhere. Second kill coming in possibly for Nux. No, Lobin manages to take him down, but surely the damage is done. Perez knows where he is and takes him down. Los get another round, and honestly, keep an eye on Nux for the next couple of rounds. He was very quiet. 1 kill through the first 3, gets the entry in round 4, and I'd have maybe left him on the Monty, but we'll see how 5 and 6 play out.
I put it, so I want to talk about this as well, because I put it down to look back at round 1. That was the only round the attackers managed to win with the Monty on side. They then lost the next 2 rounds playing the Blitz because it was easy to deal with him. I think actually what we've seen Fluxo acknowledge is when they've got the Monty on side, they can afford to be a bit slower. We can't trip them up as easily because the Monty will step in, he'll feed information to his team, they'll find a slower yet more comfortable way to get the entry in those rounds. So I think forcing them on something that demands more aggression, like the Blitz, is a good idea. I'd probably put round 4 more down to the site. However, they did make great use of the Blitz there. It was more like a Monty in terms of the intel it was feeding from that doorway. There were less chances there for Fluxo to trip them up, I think, because you saw Loss playing so bunched together. And that was a really smart thing. I'd like to see them play more as a team in these next couple of rounds.
Okay, then back up to the top floor we go. It's going to be dorms and games. Last time around, Los did try a bit of a split push here, so there was pressure where you're seeing on your screen now down towards that old tower drop. We had the Dokkaebi wander into bathroom quite freely. Didn't really get anything from there, and then we had a little bit of pressure from central stairs as well. So as I suggested, that kind of, you know, approach of surrounding them. The Bolo Constrictor, as it was christened at 6 Invitational when we had Bolo casting with us. Basically about surrounding your enemies and then closing the net, tightening in, forcing them together and picking them off as you do. It didn't work out for Loss last time they attacked onto this site, so they need a little bit more success if they do go for that. Looks like Fluxo W7 are preparing just to play a little bit more aggressively out towards Old Tower as well. Maybe not give that ground up quite as easily.
Absolutely. Well, we'll see how they approach it. She said the bow constrictor might be the go-to. That's where they've been falling short a little bit. So that, for me at least, is what needs to change. But now that isn't changing too much. Jimmy, you see this triangle of players that are set up. 1 off himself up towards the north, 2 down towards the southeast, and then the 2 players that you're seeing on your screen now grouping down towards the south side instead. They tried to try and focus on not going in towards blue on this one as well. They tried to keep it quite focused on, let's try and make sure we can get meat in control. Let's get horse control, and then that's our ticket to get the plant down. And it worked out wonderfully. However, as you'll remember, it was a very, very close round. It did come down to the dying couple of seconds before Nuts could start getting that diffuser down inside the bathroom. So there is going to be work to do, and I don't think Fluxo are going to make it as easy, especially now they've warmed up and won a couple of rounds of their own.
Ash has just hold him a long angle at the moment, hoping to catch somebody out on a rotate, but Fluxo W7m are not going to grace him with such an easy opportunity. And we do see the bedroom wall being opened here, so again, pressure is mounting in a number of locations towards central stairs as well. So you've got this kind of work towards meeting, towards command, in towards bathroom. They've largely foregone Old Tower this time, which is an interesting choice. Not sure Nux is aware of the player. Yes, he is aware of the player off to the left. He's missed his shots. He had the opportunity and Lobin cuts him down. The trade is there, but the blitz being gone is a big loss, and Nux needs to shake his head after that one. Should have been picking up the entry 4 versus 4.
This is what I mean, right, Tim? Like, yeah, let him be aggressive. Let him take the less protected shield operator. That's fine by us. That's the 3rd time now that he's died very, very early in a round, if not as the entry. And I'd argue it's costing Loss a little bit. Part of it, yes, is part of executes they've tried to get away with, but I just think in this round here, that was the reason why they've fallen apart. They've lost their main entry point. They hadn't got that information on that player inside to their left. That's unforgivable.
He's got to hit his shots. He goes through in there, gets the flash. He's got to hit his shots. Simple as that.
Why 50-50 it? Like, why even make that play? I don't understand why you lock yourself into a vault on him when they could smoke you out. There could be a C4 coming your way. There could be a thorn above that. You just don't know. There's so many things that can upset you. And I'm just like, why not pushing, for example, down museum, go down the side and towards the art hall or whatever you want to call it, and pushing from there to ask questions around that doorway itself. But that looked like a real lack of prep on Loss's side, I think, there.
I think a little bit it's wanting to play with confidence. I think it's wanting to play with confidence and take the fight to like, right, we know he's there. There's nobody else to challenge. It's going to be 1v1. Go in and get that kill. Blitz should have in a close range 1v1 a massive advantage. The fact is Nux has lost the fight and Lobin's hit a headshot. I think, they've wanted to play with confidence. The problem is that they've failed and it becomes a big blow to confidence at that point. So well played from Fluxo w7m. They get themselves around. The thing is, Los aren't actually doing too bad here. This is the attacker fortress. If they can come away with 3 rounds, there's a good chance they win this. There's a good chance that they go on to the defense. We do see defenders have success here, and we will do for a little while yet, I would say, until it's not considered kind of a quote-unquote new map anymore. We will continue to see the defenders have a little bit of fun. So, I think a 3-3 half, absolutely fine for Los. A 4-2 half, minimum for Fluxo w7m.
Yeah, to get away with the 3-3 here, fantastic, because they remind me in a way of G2 here, Los, which sounds weird to say. But the thing I always say about G2 is either they come out on top and it looks like a genius game plan, or it falls apart and they just look bad. And that is the kind of high-risk playstyle that you run when you're trying to play this kind of surround style, the bow constricts we're speaking about, this very execute focus, whether it's onto the site or onto different parts of the map. When it comes out, you look like a genius. When it doesn't, you look awful as a team, I think. But if you can get away with the 3-3, who cares how you're winning or losing rounds? You'll still have the 3-3 at the half, which is what they're looking for. So we'll see if they can get away with it, or if Fluxo get the 4-2. You'd argue on the build of it so far, they probably deserve to have that kind of outcome, but time will tell.
Taking the fight here with the Blackbeard. Nux can't find his man. Not going to give anything away from him behind that meeting door. Dorde's already low health. Doesn't want to give himself away too cheaply. I think he is in a very dangerous position at the minute, though. Might need to back away because he's going to find himself challenged. How about it? He does run back into the nade that Dorde's threw. Sorry, that Nux through, but manages to take the black. That's a trade you'll take all day, to be honest. It's the thorns, so no active gadgets have been lost there. We'd expect the Razor Blooms to already be out. He had to run back through the door because obviously the backup is going to kill him anyway. So he took the shield off. Perfect. Brilliant play from Dordes.
Well, what I don't get, Nux is 1-4 on entry this half now, leaning in on shields, and in one of those rounds, have we seen a trade kill come off the back of it? And that was in the previous one with that little run onto the breaching hole inside of command to get the kill onto the player that just killed Nux. Like, yeah, okay, cool. But where's the rest of the team? If we're making these all in plays, let's do it as a team, right? 8 strong together and all the rest of it. We go big or we go home. And at this point, they're not making it look too good. Darky's at least getting one back. That's not too bad. So now into a 4v3. It's still winnable for them, admittedly. But can Fluxo hold on because they've only got 30 seconds to play? No C4s to work with, no smokes. This is looking good for Lost, but I'm always nervous about the time, Tim. No, it's too easy.
Far too easy. Just giving himself away there with the little pre-fire on the shotgun. And that is all that Fluxo w7m needed. Paolo manages to find Dash and a second. Lobin to finish it out. Fluxo w7m get their 4-2 half. That for me was the minimum on the defensive side. Now we'll see what they can bring on the attack.
Oh, pretty spectacular overall, but from what I understand, as always, we do have our desk ready to break down a few things for you in a second. We'll give a shout in just a moment, I'm sure. Let's see what they've got to say about that one. Milos and Leo, over to you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. And yes, you're seeing it 4-2 at the half for Fluxo w7m. Not bad, though. 2 attacking rounds for Loss here on Fortress. How are things breaking down from a side perspective here, Leo? Do you have any examples to hammer points in?
Yeah, I do want to praise Lost. I do think that it was a decent attack side. I think that they got punished a little bit. Once again, I will say this, by the opening engagements. They keep on losing them. Nux guy especially is supposed to play the shield, supposed to play the support role. He's got 4 opening death already in 6 rounds. But when they take things slowly, let's take a round at round 4, for example. Let's take a look at round 4. When they take things slowly and they don't go for a full clear, they hit side directly here. That was on the basement bomb side. They take the initial control here in medic, and then they will abuse that position to just make sure to have cover on anyone that goes down the stairs or gets aggressive on them. And look, they're not moving, right? They're just waiting for movement on the side of Fluxo. That gives them the initial edge. And after this, it is a really easy and step-by-step take. Taking the advantage that they have, they take only what they need, which we call a limited take here. Don't go for a full room clear. And then isolate the gunfight. So this first player that you see in the stairs, boom, great coordination. The blitz is there to bait him. The other goes from dropper and gets a free kill. Cons, who's been spotted in medic, look, another one that they get for free. So Fluxo, eventually, at this point, start thinking, okay, it's 2-2. We're giving them rounds away because we're moving too much. And what I love to see is the adaptation. If we take a look at the other round, so round 5 that follows this one, they bring all the utility to slow everything down. So the Azami, the smoke, the thorn. And instead of giving their bodies too far away, they choose one choke point, which will be horse and around here bunks. And then they start to play aggressive at the 1 minute mark. When all of the guys on Los are just utility in hand, trying to still get to the bomb site, they fight around the meeting. They get aggressive together. And this time, whenever they pick, they do so together. And that's the biggest difference. Play behind utility and abuse the natural choke points of the map. I think that it was a really good read on their side. Now switching to attack, I'm not surprised to see Lost removing the shields. It's been very, very big crutch for Dots. So they will have to find a way to attack differently. Maybe, I'm assuming, bringing things like the Solid Snake, the Deimos, the Lion. And as you can see, it's starting to come on their lineup.
From the attacking side, you always want to try to form your own natural, quote-unquote, natural angles, the unnatural one that you bring with your own ops. And this is going to be a tough one to break through. We'll see what Fluxo can bring to deal with loss on the defense. We'll send it back to Des and Ace to take us through the action in the second half. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, boys. Thank you for the breakdown as well. Much more standard in terms of the bans that have come out in this half as well. So you've heard Leo just mention there, the 2 shields being taken away. Really a target in towards Dots there, as he has been their go-to shield player, but happily, over onto the Ying, and he's going to light this place up.
Yeah, we'll see how. Oh no, he's not. He's going to go on to the 1 remaining shield. You see, you got baited in again, Des. Baited in again with the attacker repick.
Once a shield player, always a shield player.
Dots is going to hold on to those shields until they forcibly remove all 3 of them, which I think will probably come at the end of the first 3.
And then he'll run fuse.
Defensive rounds for loss, almost certainly. And then, like you say, run fuse shield. He'll find a way, one way or another. He will find a way to have a big piece of metal in front of his face. So let's get into it. It's going to be first defensive round for Los, and this is a really important round. I often leave it till round 8, 9 to discuss this, but here it's round 7. Because if Los don't come away with a successful first defense and Fluxo w7m go 5-2 up, I think they're really on the back foot at that point, and Fluxo w7m will feel like they can get this done on the attack. As I've said previously, the defenders do have a pretty good time of things here on Fortress. The minimum needs to be 4-2 for Los at the minute and get themselves to overtime. Given that it's their map pick, you'd be hoping that they think they can get a bit more than that, but Fluxo w7m not going to be messing about. They've got the Glass, they've got the Blackbeard, they've got the Grim. The execution kind of writes itself.
It does, but the gridlock really helps them lock down this sort of thing, because the 2 roamers I'm looking at on the side of Lost right now in terms of the Thorn and, of course, the Vigil for Perez. They're looking to make things happen, but I don't know. Is that enough force to be able to really stop the other side? I don't think it is. They'll be able to stiff you out. They'll be able to lock you away with the gridlock, for example. And then everything else gets focused on the site itself. And sure enough, there's the entry. Nux, 1 and 5 this game. It's worth stressing again. The 2 kills come through. Loban and Cons both going down. That certainly isn't too bad, because the crucial operator that is gone is that Glass.
The smoke is offline as well. White stairs have now been secured for Fluxo w7m, but man count does not favour them. 3 versus 4. No pressure over dorms and games, so you've got defenders now who can fall back to site to provide a little bit of extra manpower. You've got the diffuser down cold as well. This is now going to be just a recollect. You can see you've lost 2 on that tower drop. That is not ideal from Cons and Lobin to leave their team short-handed when there's a clash on side as well. How How do you now deal with the shield? Beautiful peek comes through. You can see with the outlines that Dash was just waiting, and the info is just being fed to him by Dark. Just, yep, that's where they are. Just a couple of meters to your left, a couple of meters to your right as you swing round, and he just gets round and gets a beautiful peek. 4 versus 2, Lost looking pretty comfortable.
Yeah, for as much as I was speaking about not being 100% sure about the lineup on the other side, I'm a little bit wary of Fluxo, to be fair. Like, it's lacked a little bit of direction. Like, poking in with a Blackbeard and you're putting all your eggs onto the glass basket, what happens when he falls apart? And now they're kind of trying to recover, and yes, with the help of Palu here, they managed to get something back, at least into a kill onto the Vigil, but you'll happily throw away that Vigil for the opportunity of a cheese kill, I think, especially when time is now as low as it is. The stepping in, the impact EMP coming out on towards the clash, everything is now on Palu. He's had a great tournament so far, but he's got to go absolutely massive into one more, into a second. Now he's got to go for the plan. It's just down to Dark. He's all by himself, and Palu wins it out again. He cannot stop clutching this stage.
Huge loss for Los in that round. As I said, it is going to be very, very important for them to get that one on the board. Fluxo w7m now just need to grab 2 rounds, and they've just sent a message there, haven't they? Like you say, coming out with that clutch as well. They were, short-handed through most of that round, but they've still just got in there, taken the gunfights, and Los have presented them with opportunities. Big mistakes, big loss for Los, and that is, I fear, going to cost them heavily.
Oh, wow. Those are the moments of magic that when you come back and look at this, if it was to be a close map, which it doesn't feel like it's going to be, you'd look at that and say, Palu's gone and done it again, and Los really shouldn't be letting that situation go. But this is what I mean. It feels so weird and isolated in terms of watching. We've cast a lot of VML this stage, Tim, right? And I'm looking at this game here. The number of fights that we've seen come down to being extremely isolated 1v1s is absolutely crazy. The Blackbeard asking questions on towards the clash at the door. I was like, okay, where are your teammates to support you on trying to aggress on towards this wall here? No one around. The Vigil all by himself. No one around. The clash in trying to hold down the very end of that round. No one else around. It was just very, very bizarre, Al. Despite there only being 2 players left on the side of Fluxo, Los didn't really seem to get the memo and have everyone in the right positions at the right time to stop that execute going off. Just really weird.
Let's see if this one's a little bit less weird, shall we? And whether Los allow Fluxo w7m to escape scot-free from a difficult position again or not. So they're going to move sites. It's going to be dorms and games this time around. So that sort of south-sided site. And Fluxo w7m, what are you going to go for? Last time around, they went for a little bit of an unconventional push. Didn't bother with this side of the map. Instead, just went a little bit more direct. This time, they're kind of opening up that central stairs area wall. And so that's immediate pressure onto site to begin with. And then where's the rest of the pressure going to be coming? Got themselves onto the old tower stairs rather than the drop. Can't move forward at this point, and they're going to get an absolute freebie. No, they are not. Dordes thought he saw his opportunity there, but not quite. And the Nomad, I think, is just going to dip away for the time being.
Yeah, it's a close one again. I keep going back to the entry sap for Los as well. They get the entry. They do tend to find a way to push through to the end of a round. Tell you what, that is some risk running through fire and flames, quite literally. Cons still stood on his feet though at this point, but no. Loberin towards 1, Cons a second. Los crumbling once again here. A fantastic start. Cons taking the risk, coming away with a kill.
Just a reminder, of course, as well as how the day will work. The winner of this game and the winner of the next game will both qualify for the Salt Lake City Major. So either Fluxo w7m or Los will go through. The other will be eliminated from kickoff.
Easy.
And then the same for the phase. There you go. Like you say, easy, flawless win for Fluxo w7m. The other matchup we've got, absolutely huge. Team Liquid Alienware against FaZe. One of those teams will make the major. The other will be eliminated. So only one of those rosters can make it to the major, which is already massive news in itself. Doesn't matter which one it is, really. The headline is still the same. But the third game of the day, also not one to watch. It's really important because we've got...
Not one to watch, Tim.
It is one to watch. It's I say not what? It's definitely one to watch.
You said not one to watch. I was like, hang on a minute.
It's not one to miss. It is one to watch, because the two winners will play each other. And the reason that's important, there's a few SI points difference as well, which is an important factor. But the main thing is the winner of that winners game, the lower bracket final, will go straight through to phase 2 of the major, straight into the Swiss stage. The loser of that game goes into phase 1, into like the play-ins knockout stage. And that is a big, big deal, because already that is shaping up to be a tough phase 1. You've got Falcons in there from EML, somewhat unexpectedly. Twisted Minds actually grabbing the phase 2 spot. So big, big games all round today.
And this one, unfortunately, looks to be one a bit too big for the side of Los. Of course, still got other maps to go, but as I was saying earlier on, this to me was the best chance they had at finding a win. We're going to have a rehost coming in by the looks of it, so we'll get back into things in just a second once that's sorted. But to come back onto this map in particular, this is Fluxo's permaban. They don't like playing it. They've lost a phase on it. They've lost a Furia on it. Although the games were close, admittedly, like 7-5, 7-5, this has been a map that has been permabanned away from Los consistently. Like, they really want to play this map. No one ever lets them. And this sounds a little bit rude, but I'm sat here watching this and wondering, why are teams afraid of you on this map? Because that first half wasn't good. And in the second one, they've been battered. Absolutely battered.
I mean, you got to ban something, Des. You got to ban, you got to ban something if everyone else is banning it. If you're just confident you can beat them anyway, then, why not just keep piling on? Yeah, we'll keep taking Fortress away. But Loss haven't been up to speed so far. We've got to call it as we see it. We'll get everybody rehosted and back into the lobby just as soon as we can. But things going, I think, largely as expected so far, with Fluxo w7m kind of heavily on top and heavily favoured now. They only need to pick up one more round. It is 6-2, and a few solemn faces across the side of Loss there, I think, because they know that they've got a lot of work to do to come back into this one. If we have a look at Cafe, very good record for Fluxo w7m, 6-1 over a 64.9 and 64.1% attacking and defending win rate. It ain't going to be easy for Loss.
Yeah. You kind of saw it all laid out on the players' faces. They knew that this map was their chance to get something here. It's their favorite map. It's a map that they've obviously seen and know that Fluxo have lost over the last few days, last couple of months, really. They lost it recently, of course, during Kickoff, and then also lost it during SI as well. This was your opportunity, but it is crumbling before them, I think, through being a bit too predictable. Like I said back in that first half, although banning them onto your way might look a little bit strange, I think it's because they knew exactly what they would get for every other round, and the results spoke for themselves, right? 1-4 an entry for Nux, the shield going down in every single round as the first death. That can't really be happening. You need a player to making a play somewhere to enable the shield to capitalize on the chaos. And it looks just a bit too one-dimensional in that first half. And in the second, granted, they've come up a very, very good attacking Fluxo w7m today. I thought their 2 attacks so far have been excellent. It still just looks a little bit limp on the defense overall, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely a lot of work for Loss to do. And the problem that they've got is it's, such a short space of time to do it. They don't get to go away. They don't get to go back to the drawing board. They don't get to go and fix these things. They've got to do it here or now. Or Kickoff is over and they're looking towards stage 1. There will be no major for them. So this is where leaders in teams really come into their own. This is where having a good IGL who can pick the team up, who can fix these things on the fly. Obviously, between games, it's on the coach, it's on the analysis team. That's all that backroom staff can come into it, but during the match, when it's there in front of you, this is where the RGLs really earn their money, to be able to say, look, this isn't working, this is why, and to be able to make those changes on the fly.
That's exactly it, right? Being able to make those changes when things are going this wrong is typically why you want a coach to get involved at that point. You were speaking earlier about the potential ban coming in the third round being another shield to try and really put dots on the back foot. I don't even think we'll get to that point, truthfully.
I don't think you're bothered.
We're already at 6-2. That's it. Like, is the shield been the reason they've won or lost those rounds? No, like,
not really.
They'll be happy. They'll be completely fine without it. I can guarantee you.
That's it. I think it's another one of them that you look at it, and even if we do get there, I think sometimes teams get locked into a banning order that's almost been pre-decided. It's, Dots is a problem on shields. Okay, we'll take the 3 shields away. I think sometimes, I'm not saying this is the case for loss, sometimes you've got to be a little bit more flexible, a little bit more adaptable than that. Is there something actually else that's got, that's what we've started out with, but we're actually finding that this last thing, maybe Dockerby, maybe Snake, maybe, whatever it might be at the minute, that's actually causing us a lot of problems. So we're going to take that away instead. But whether we even get there or not is another question. Like you say, all sites are open to loss at the minute. They've lost their first 2 defenses, so I think we will see them go back to a top floor site. Looks to me like we're going to be getting in now. We've got fist bumps all round, so we'll be heading back in. But I think we will be going back to a top floor site. I don't think that they will risk that bottom floor when the game depends on it. They will have to at a point. They're going to have to win everywhere now. But I mean, on that basis, I guess you could go down there, but no, they're going to go to the top floor. So you could go down there. You've got to win everywhere. But I guess for me, I think go to your stronger sites first, get a couple of rounds under your belt, and then worry about that third choice site.
Well, they're going to try the primary site, Tim, and they really, really need a result here. But I do worry that for Fluxo, this is just going to be a little bit of a walk in the park for them. On the defensive side, looking at what they're bringing along, it's kind of more the same as what we've already seen earlier, but they said for having the Vigil on side, but now got the Azami in place instead. And I think what they had before wasn't an awful idea. The Vigil being the one that was challenging them around the entry, not looking to die, but looking to challenge and waste a little bit of time, ask a few questions, and then you had a really good dug-in setup behind a mute, a smoke, and a clash. On paper, it was great, and it was going great, until they all thought, the Clash is entirely fine by themselves, decided command against the last 2 players on the side of Fluke. So there's nothing to worry about. Except there was, because we saw Parlu do Parlu things, unfortunately. So here, I get it. We can still play it on their own. We've just got to be very, very conscious what our anchors are doing, I think, when the execute comes in. We can't afford to be losing 2 players early in the round either, because I wouldn't really call Clash an architect, but in the same way, like she's a bit of a mobile, like wall, you can, of course, move around. In the same way that an Azami can be quite flexible where she puts the keepers down, that is your win con in this round, is playing behind your utility.
Let's not forget they have brought that clash along previously. We saw it back in round 7 on this very site. It didn't really get the job done for him. We saw almost, I do like the change they've made. It's almost the exact same lineup, but the adaptation here is switching away from the Vigil onto the Azami. I'll be honest, I don't know why you'd ever play a Vigil on this top floor site. I just don't think you're ever going to gain something from it. Vigil has got to be brought for a very specific roam rounds. Otherwise, he's less than useless at times. Very selfish operator in terms of not bringing anything for the team. And that's why I say you're not going to have a big roam on this site. What are you going to do? Play the Vigil underneath? So easily dealt with. Or what are you going to do? Play him over in game and dorms? They expect somebody to be there anyway, so there's no real benefit to the Vigil keeping himself off cams. I think, you can definitely bring, like an Azami, a way more powerful operator who's going to offer a lot more on the site. So I'm really glad to see them do that. And, already paying dividends. Perez gets a kill with the Azami. That's the entry, 5 versus 4.
Really good one to find as well. Taking that Grim offline. Yes, had a minor nerf come through. Not enough that you're going to see Grims being, leveled down in power or teams no longer bringing him. Just means you have a bit more of a chance of defender to be able to respond to what's going on around you and destroy those canisters. You can't fly them in for free. But this is what you pair him up with, something like a Deimos or a Dockerby or a Solid Stake, and the intel game just goes absolutely wild for the team. Not, in fact, ignoring all the drones they've got on side, with Cons and Dots also running around on the Flores and the Twitch respectively. A lot they can work with here, but there's one kill for them. That's Clash. Can't be risking it too much here, boys. We've got to be careful. But yet again, they're throwing away a man advantage situation, Tim. They've just conceded so much of the map. Top Eagle's now going to go down to Cons as well. What is going on?
Yeah, that Clash was very lucky to get back to site there, but I think that's going to be the end of the look. Shut down at the end of things. Beautiful stuff from Fluxo w7m. It was a good start from Los in the round, but ultimately, Fluxo w7m get it done and take map 1.
Thank you very much, Milosh. I hope you all brought your best black outfits for this one, because we are going to a funeral. If you listen to Tim, Leo, or Milosh, I actually kind of back them a little bit, Tim. I think on the defense, they will have a better time on Cafe. I think they just kind of outgamed themselves a little bit back on Lair. A map where they've got a lot more experience on, like Cafe, I'm somewhat optimistic.
Fluxo w7m have a 64.9% attacking win rate on Cafe.
I am no longer optimistic.
And that is across 37 rounds. So we've got a serious sample size there. They are 6-1 on this map if you look back to the beginning of October. So not even a huge period of time. Look, you know, this could be serious trouble. If we have a look, the only team to beat them on it was Furia, who are, by the way, the champions of SAL, having won that yesterday. It's the only team they've lost to. They have beaten the old Furia roster, OXG, D plus Kia, Space Station, Team Secret, and a little team called FaZe Clan. You know, they've taken down some big names on Cafe. They've got a 65% attacking win rate. This is going to be a tough half. Is it impossible? No. I don't want to write Los off. I don't want to make out that there's, you know, already decided. It is not. But they have to come out strong. They need a couple of defenses to start stuff off. So fortunately for them, Des, they've gone to one of the... Oh, no, wait. It's the weakest defensive site on the map. Top floor.
Your favourite. And they're holding it in a way that I haven't seen held for quite a while, actually. The Azami playing inside a piano, looking to be aggressive. Of course, got the DMR of the Rooney at long range, likely playing around Cocktail for the majority of this round, and quite a bit of information coming out from the Valk. Remember the good old days when you can get Valkyrie cameras outside the building?
I've missed those days heavily, Des. 2 cameras,
Such
and you could see the entirety of Cafe. It was beautiful.
Happy feet, happy feet. Dart loses half his HP. Not super ideal. That'll be a couple of extra bullets, well, a couple of less bullets required in the next engagement that he gets into. But now just dancing around the bottom of White there with the C4 in hand as well. No doubt like, keeping a hold of that, trying to eye up towards White stairs on the window. But the kills have come in very, very quick. Doda's the one to fall on one side, but on the other, they've got rid of 2, Tim. Both Perez and Dark have fallen here. Good start, Fluxo.
Yeah, they've tried to get aggressive, like you say. Very aggressive setup. Azami and Piano gone. Dark down on White, door looking to get that peek out of the door, gone. Very, very well dealt with. The Nomad, I would have expected a minute and a half into the round. It was about a minute when he died that Dordes should have got those air jabs out onto the staircases, so I would have thought that job should be done. If not, then yes, a bit of a loss, but still very, very winnable for Fluxo w7m from here. 4 versus 3, control of Piano, and can start now pushing towards site.
Sure. Of course, these long-range guns are still pretty dangerous. You've actually got to find a shot onto someone there. You've got to take a head clean off somewhere. And I was going to say, Nux is at massive risk here. But Daffo making use of his own long-range gun with that DMR will find one back. Dash hits the deck, going to get recovered here as well. I believe that was a nade coming in, actually, which put him down on his backside. There is one left. Parlo could do the funniest thing here. He could do the funniest thing if he was in the right spot with that last nade that he's got in back pocket. I think he's going to miss his opportunity, unfortunately, and that is the last Lion scan coming out there. So now we're going to have to see Fluxo figure this out in the last 30. There you go. That's not bad for one. Dash back from the dead, finds one more for himself, sees the leg though, and he still finds the shot. No, it's Nux to collect it instead. Barlow has had so many clutches this stage. I've already said the most clutch player in all of SAL Kickoff. Already had one last map. Will he do it again, Tim?
That's a great shot from Nux, to be fair. Palu sends a nade into Freezer, not going to catch anybody. Does find his first. 1v2 becomes a 1v1. Can he continue that stat? Does not have diffuser in hand. It's Striker versus Sentry Des. Recruit on recruit. Who's going to come away with the win? Nux does get himself away. He's decided it's time to run. Wins out the round. Palu can't get it done. And Los get what could be an essential first defense.
Woohoo! 1 of 2! Until we start pushing past your scoreline prediction, baby. I'm already thinking about that sweet Salt Lake beer. That wasn't a bad round, I think, overall from either side, to be fair. One, Fluxo cleared very, very well early on. Getting rid of the Azami, didn't really have much support inside of Piano. It was relatively inevitable. Getting rid of Dark down below, as soon as he started taking shots through the drone hole, he had to know that Fluxo were going to start piling pressure on, that they'd have a couple of players onto him, that they'd have drones around him to figure out where he is, where he's moving to. That probably would have been high time to get back up towards site there, or get yourself around a second player so you can play around trades, because that's the one thing that I said back on the last map. Trades between these two teams, like, we haven't really seen an awful lot. One player will die, and there's no trade coming back the other way. We need to see a little bit more of that build up.
Round 2, all the way down to that bottom floor then. It's going to be Kitchen that Lost decide to hold on to next. And no great surprises there. As Leo discussed, Lobin is going to be bringing along the Snake. No surprise to see that here from Fluxo w7m. So efficient at clearing those top 2 floors, and we will likely see plenty of gadget use to do that. I'm having a look. I'm not actually seeing too much in terms of destructibility for the verticals. It looks like they're going to ignore them. There's no soft breach charges. There's no ram. There's no buck. Instead, there's cons on the Raura. So I would expect to see maybe a bakery push here. They've got no hard breach to speak of. They've got no hard breach at all. So I just really don't see how they can do anything freezer-sided. It's going to have to be bakery.
Swapping mags.
Well, at least that way it starts out on a
That's a
trade
big
to kick
loss.
things off. Yeah, a big loss, but also a trade quite crucial. The one thing I really wanted to see a little bit more of. You're taking the Sens off the other side and you've lost the Mozzie. I think you'll take that every single day of the week because, again, it's crucial execute utility that has been denied. Now really looking in towards the Raura and in towards the Blitz to make something happen. You heard the desk speaking about the Solid Snake, and we saw a lot of it the other day from Team Falcons, Tim. Making use of it on a map like this is so good because the map is, it sounds weird to say that it's small because there are 3 floors, but because there's not a lot of like horizontal geometry to worry about, you can get an awful lot done off just one scan from that Solid Snake gadget. So Lobin's in a really good spot here where he can help them find the gap and pull off a brilliant execute.
Perez is going to take a little bit of damage there, and he's being chased down rapidly by this Blitz, but does manage to back him up with a pocket Razor Bloom. Nux manages to get Palu as well, but there is a little bit of a trade. 3v2, Lost hanging in there, though, as they manage to find a kill onto Lobin as well. Dot's low health. Very, very little chance that the Blitz can find anything here, realistically. 1v3 now, cut down by the last man, and that is going to be Lost getting 2, Des, and you might just be onto something.
Like I said, on the defensive side of this map, I think you'll find them on a map that's much more established, that they've known for a lot longer. They will feel a hell of a lot more comfortable. I'm not super optimistic about the attacks, granted, but I think the defense, you will see them coming out and performing quite well, which is what they've done so far. And it's not to say that Fluxo haven't played well through these 2 rounds. They've certainly got some parts of the round right. It's just that Lowe's have shown a little bit of fight when it comes down to the sharp end of things and have got themselves up to that 2-0. Brilliant start then. Let's see how they fare for the 3rd site here. Whether or not they can crack on and potentially, imagine if they push us to a 3rd map, Tim. That would not be on my bingo card for today.
No, it wouldn't. Look, I'll credit where it's due. I didn't expect to see much coming out of Los in this 2nd map so far. They've started very well. Do I think it's the end of the story? No, I absolutely do not. But I think after the way they've been pushed around and bullied on Fortress, to come in and get the first two defensive rounds, they've actually been well coordinated as well. We saw that in the last round. Trade, kept themselves that man advantage, even when they were losing bodies. Great stuff from Los. I'm really impressed first couple of rounds.
Well, a couple of rounds does not win you a match. They've got to press on now and keep on building on this advantage and get themselves into a good position for that 2nd half, because the attacks is what is going to make me nervous. As said, Tim, at least 4 here, I think, is mandatory. Gets me a beer, and it also gets them into a pretty comfortable position. Looks like they're going to turn over towards the Monty here, and of course towards the ramp for the vertical. We're used to seeing that by now for this site. And really the main focus will be getting inside the top red with the Monty, getting control of Piano, and then ripping those floorboards up until they've got all the control they need of site itself, and then looking probably for the execute, or of course going direct via a window. Key difference in this round though, look across the 2 operators on the far left of your screen. I'm looking at the Nomad and the Gridlock. They want to stop this roam game, the craziness coming out of Los. They really want to slow things down here, and that's going to be their attempt at doing it.
This time they do have the Ram on side as well, whereas in the last round they were kind of foregoing the option of verticality. This time they are signalling that they will be looking towards taking that top floor. As you say, stop any flanks with the Gridlock and Nomad as well. Give themselves control and start working from Piano. Don't get overexcited. Perez is actually in pixel spot. He was not behind that keeper barricade, despite his outline looking like it maybe was. So he will be safe for the time being, but he's going to have to drop back now as the unrelenting march of Monty begins across that top floor.
This is what he's so good at doing, right? He's taking space, feeding information, and then really on this top floor, that is enough. Once you start pressing in towards Cocktail and feeding that information across the rest of your team, they have no choice but to back away. We saw Twisted Minds over in EML the other day. He refused to back away. They held that position. They lost 3 players on the top floor from a player just simply walking up white, like you're seeing Dodo's doing now, and killing 2 of them who were stood inside the site. And I was a bit like, what the hell is going on? It was very, very strange. And so I think it's a good idea that chosen to back away here, but this is why you're seeing the power of that Monty coming online, right? And why I think you maybe saw it band away a little bit back on Fortress is he does give teams the ability to move through a map at quite some pace, despite being a very slow operator himself.
Fluxo going to be raining through, trying to take out any utility that it can. At this point, we see Dash just getting bullied back down those white stairs, taken out as well by Lobin. But Nux on a big double. I tell you what, he's on a real resurgence after the performance on Fortress, going big for his team at the minute. A double in this round. Perez manages to get one. Perez and Daffo finish it off. Lost 3-0. Is this the same loss that we saw on Fortress?
It just looks so much more comfortable, don't they?
They do.
And what I really like about it is how controlled that round was. Down from when they backed away from the Monty, down to how they looked to play it once we had Fluxo moving forwards. That's when you saw a little bit of the Los that we know coming to life. The aggression coming out, the willingness to swing and go for the gunfights and take the fight to Fluxo, but it was on Los's terms. Really good first quarter so far. Now we get another ban coming out. Surely the Monty has to go. I was going to say, it doesn't matter the other shields haven't gone. It's how much freedom that I think the Monty was giving in that round. That was really the only thing that Fluxo, I think, have shown as a real strength throughout this half. That being gone, I now wonder how the hell Fluxo fight their way back in. No surprise they take a timeout. They need to figure this out now.
Yeah, they really do. 65% nearly attacking win rate has gone out of the window so far for Fluxo W7M. 0-3, unable to secure an attack. Well, I think they need to come back and win the next 3 rounds. They need to put Loss, back against the wall here and say, this is our game. This is our spot at the major. We're going to take this. If they can get that 3-3, then yeah, I think you start weighting the game in favor of Fluxo W7M again. They get onto the defensive cafe. I think Loss will struggle more in the second half. So I think, a 3-3 is essential now, really, for Fluxo W7M.
Yeah, build your war chest up now if you're Los, right? Because I keep on saying I am nervous about that second half. I really hope they've figured it out and it's not so one-dimensional. But time will tell when we get there. Fluxo still going to stick with the shield. The Blackbeard coming along for them this time around, and I'm looking in towards that Solid Snake. I hope they don't change away from these two, because I think this is where they've seen real success throughout the stage. You look back at their numbers. For both teams, really, they have a player that leans very heavily into playing intel-focused operators. I'm talking about the Dockerby. I'm talking, of course, about the Solid Snake and about Deimos. We haven't seen loads of those combos of operators. They've seen quite a bit of Dockerby, but not really too much of the others. And I think I would like to see maybe for Fluxo's side, if you know that you're running into a spot where Lowe's are looking to get aggressive, just calm them down, temper them a little bit by making use of something like a Dockerby call coming out. With that not on side, it just invites Lowe's to kind of say, yeah, we'll challenge your air jabs, we'll challenge on towards your gridlock tracks, no problem at all. We'll take the fight to you. They've got to find a way to curb that.
Palu is going to be a little bit of a focus for me here. He's been one of the big names in SAL, not just through Kickoff, but through the last 5 years more. And so he's one of the players that Fluxo W7M are going to need a big performance from. 3-2 so far, not going bad. Could definitely do with more. Bringing the Snake is an interesting one. Top floor, of course, not going to be really a roam clearance operation. It is going to give them the intel, at least based on, it's always useful. It's going to tell them where the operators are posted up. But I dare say if you were to ask Fluxo W7M, they already have a good idea, to be honest, where these players are going to be stationed. So I don't know how much that they gain from that. Where there's maybe a little bit of lost utility they could have benefited from. No Nomad. No gridlock, for example, which we would usually see as top floor regulars for an attacking team.
You can see how much more cautious they're being, right? The Lion scan coming out with the IQ, checking out for where these vault cams are, where the utility is. You've got the Solid Snake on side. They aren't taking any chances. They're slowing things down a lot. Admittedly, Amonte, like I said back in the first few rounds, that it has that effect too. Like, he helps slow things down because he's very slow as an operator. He's good at taking ground by himself. But I think slowing things down here to not get caught out by any surprises is a good shout. The only thing that makes me nervous, really, is when it comes to actually hitting the site is where we've tended to see Los explode. And Dark's in a pretty good spot here. Little does he know, there's a freebie waiting for him around Museum. Parlo I'm looking at here, but Dash still gonna find the entry, Tim.
And he manages to double down on that with a Nitro as well. Palu does find the one underneath. That's going to be the Valkyrie gone and a Nitro threat with it maybe, but there is still Nux with explosives in hand. Dash managing to find a third in the round, going phenomenally well so far on. The Warden still active, looking to challenge into Freezer. He can't get the kill because Nux gets to it first. Doda's taken down. Perez with the final one on loss. What has happened? What has happened? Have the two teams loaded in on the wrong sides under the wrong team names or something? Because this looks like it's just a complete mirror reversal of what we saw on Fortress.
I just dropped Nux a DM and said, mate, I've got a beer on this game. You need at least 4 rounds. They can bottle the rest now. It's not a problem. I've got no concerns about it after this point.
Doesn't look like they're going to, though, does it?
No, they can go on and win all 6 here because Fluxo haven't come close. Like I said during the first couple, there were a couple of moments where Fluxo looked good in terms of their dealing with roamers, for example, and collapsing onto individual players. It was great. But what have Lowe's changed since then? They've acknowledged, okay, then they're going to pinch on to us if we play all by ourselves. So we'll keep on falling back. We'll keep on making them chase shadows through the map, essentially, and then spring on them at a time that is most convenient to us. The best chance I'd say Fluxo have got of winning a round is down here in Kitchen, because getting top floor and second floor control tends to be, I don't want to say easy, but far easier than many of the other hurdles have come up against so far. Then the question comes, how do you worry about the execute? But I feel that downstairs is very, very well understood at this point. There's not too much craziness that you can do. Once you've got a gridlock or a nomad locking down the stairs, you know where the players are going to be. There are only so many places they can possibly be otherwise. And I don't think you're going to see Lowe's pull out anything too creative or mental here to try and otherwise like enable Fluxo to be disturbed. So we'll see how it goes. Keep an eye on the setup that comes out of Lowe's because they're the ones really going to have to try and find a way to trip Fluxo up. Otherwise, I do think Fluxo can get this one over the line.
I am glad to see Fluxo bringing a lineup that is this time aimed towards that verticality. I commented on that last time they were attacking this side. There was nothing on side for them to do that. It was all going to be sort of brute force direct to side. So I think this is definitely better for them. But look how aggressive Lowe's are playing here. Every barricade, every hatch that's being opened, they're right there up at it, right there up at the boundary, wanting to get aggressive, wanting to find those kills, wanting to take the game to Fluxo w7m. But they are going to be punished for it. Dordes gets in and gets the entry. Dash taken down.
That could have been ridiculously embarrassing for Fluxo then. The only thing they were missing down red was a drone. It's the only thing that needed down red would be a drone, and then you follow it up with an air jab. Dordes has got off very lucky there that he's got away with the kill. He's a fantastic player, so I'm not surprised that he's managed to react in the moment and get the kill. But really there, Dash should have had him dead to rights.
You've got to start asking as well, if this continues to go in the favour of Lowe's, is there a world where we are genuinely discussing Fluxo w7m not making the major? Could we find ourselves going to Salt Lake City with 2? Because if Fluxo w7m don't make it, there's also Team Liquid Alienware OFA is not making it, with 2 of the biggest Brazilian teams not there.
Well, let's not get too ahead of ourselves, Tim. I know it's exciting, but there's still
what a boost to the rest of the world that'd be.
And wouldn't it just? Yeah. What I do like in this round is Fluxo are moving at really good pace. Like a minute 50, they had the hatch open, and then they've started asking questions already, making use of the fuse to destroy utility below. Nux not in a bad spot here, though, inside a bunker on the Clash. Like, that can be, we saw this over in email the other day, actually, when we had a Clash sat in bunker like this. They just moved everyone over on the attacking side to try and go through Bakery instead, and they completely crumbled under trying to take a side of the map they weren't prepared to push into. So now the question is, if Fluxo are willing to hold firm here and try and push it towards Nux, or are they going to rotate away? Oh, Dark can't get away with this. Bro. How?
Only has he got away with it.
2 air jabs in back pockets.
He's been allowed up to top floor, and that now poses a further flank risk as well. Daffo with a double nitro. What's that you were saying about let's not get carried away? Because I think nobody told Loss. 4 versus 1. Dark gets another. Brilliant stuff from them so far. Fluxo w7m, they're not even at the races. They don't know what day it is right now. They're in a spin cycle.
Brother, that is embarrassing. So embarrassing. Lobin has got 2 air jabs left in back pocket when they've cleared the top of the map so fast. I was praising them. 150 on the clock. You've got the hatch open. You're running around second floor like you own the place. No bother. Let's get some air jabs down. They can't come on us. Great. A flank drone or true, that'll help out wonderfully as well. But no, what do? No flank drones, no air jabs down. What are we playing at, Fluxo? Like this is bad. I'm getting whiplash from how fast I've gone from saying, my God, Los are terrible, to now saying, my God, Fluxo look terrible. That's the kind of round they can't be losing. Fair credit to Los, though. 2 players there, pushing up white, 1 pushing up red and getting 2 kills off the back of it. Wonderful stuff. Well done for taking that chance of coming away with the kill that you did. But Fluxo as a team, that, as we said, have not missed an event since Manchester, cannot be letting that happen at this level. Just cannot.
Well, it's looking like I could be right on my prediction of Los to win 7-2, Des. At this rate, it could be even more than that. So w7m just absolutely nowhere near. Leo is crying somewhere at me trying to swap sides. Look, they're going to be setting up inside of barback storage at the minute. It is a top floor hold again for the mid floor site. We saw this previously, and again, Fluxo w7m just weren't able to play into it at all. They weren't able to clear them out, and Los would wildly on top of it, as I remember from last time they played this round. So Fluxo w7m, they need to shock them here. They need to change things up. I think in order to try and do that, they've got Lobin into the map very, very quickly. He's been in about 15, 20 seconds into the round. But again, he's missed his opportunity. The player that was bottom white has now returned back up towards site, and that's it. Your chance has gone. Or has it?
Well. Oh, a bit lost for words still. I'm still reeling. From round 5.
I'm surprised you let me get away with that side switch on my score prediction, to be honest.
Hey, you can take it, mate. It's all right. I'll grant it. I don't think even I expected this. I thought 7-4 was being kind. I thought, I'll chance it. All right. Okay. Fair. Good shot. Nice. Now, what do we do with the entry, Tim? That's the big question. Apparently trying to take a fight off the back of it downstairs. Stark's trying to hold on against Lobin, who's being given the runaround here and manages to escape with his life as well. Good escape by Dark as the phone call comes out arguably a little bit too late. I tell you what, the shots coming out of everywhere here, but Daffo hits the deck before he gets rained on by 2 or 3 players on the side of Los. A good coming together, a bit of teamwork there, trying to even out the scoring, and they get rid of a crucial operator, Tim. That snake offline.
Yeah, big loss there. Big loss of Fluxo w7m in terms of that later round execute. Look at even when they're opening up the vertical angles, Los are just like, yeah, open it. See what happens. All you're doing is giving me more ways to kill you. And they manage to find it. They get the reverse shot. They take cons out. There will be no more verticals opened up for Fluxo. They are now locked in and stuck with whatever they have. Lobin manages to use them, though. Takes down the man. I think that was probably through the hatch or just around it. So that's going to be the Malusi taken offline. 3 versus 3, 40 seconds left to go.
Dafo's just both avoiding every bullet coming his way, but also somehow just exploding out of walls at people. Gets one back, but it looks like Fluxo might finally have got a bit of a reprieve. Nux, after not having a fantastic time on Fortress, has a golden opportunity to give his team a 6-0 half, Tim.
It's not going to be easy, though, but as you say, the performance is with him at the minute. 5-1.
Oh, boy.
Just waiting for this push.
All bang.
Plant is going to be going down. This is his opportunity. What a pre-fire. She's the man. 1v2. Knocks custom down. Beautiful clutch. Absolutely beautiful. That first shot in the doorway was clairvoyant. Wonderful.
That is spectacular. Truly spectacular. I've got whiplash from how different that half has been compared to being back on Fortress. But I think it's about time, Tim, that we get Milosh and Leo in, because I'm sure they've got plenty to say about this one.
Honestly, Des, you and I are on the same wavelength, because the entire time I'm watching the game, and the only word I could think of was whiplash. It's the word of the day, at least for this match, just the way that things happen. Now, Los are up 6-0 here on Cafe Dostoevsky. Huge contrast to what we got on map 1 on Fortress. Question is, Leo, how did that happen? Them being able to abuse that defense so well compared to the relatively lackluster Fortress that we got from them?
I think they finally understood that the biggest strength that there is getting close to each other and actually being in a situation where you can use the time and a map that is heavily defenders at your advantage. On Fortress, they were giving up way too many picks. And whenever they were winning the opening engagements, they would throw bodies individually. They would be unaware of the gaps. What do we see here? What's their adaptation? They brought Valkyrie almost every round. They had intel on where the players were moving. And then they brought traps, Goyo, stuff to slow down their opponent and really play around it. If we look at some of the rounds, for example, round 4 or round 5, or even round 3, it's rounds where they're staying close to each other. They're well aware of what's going to happen. Here, look at how much time they've burned, 5v5, 1 minute left. And still, they get close to each other. They force Fluxo w7m into choke points. They make sure there is a trade potential. And what a game from Nux. It's one of the players that we said needed to step up going into the game. And he gets a double kill here because Fluxo w7m, they have no control. They just spent 5 players going into reading and down the white stairs. In this situation in round 2, same issue. They try to do one floor take. Look at the control they have. All they have is the main entrance. That's it. So all of those can just play close to each other, trade each other, and basically play a 2v1. And look here, it's another crossfire. And so I look at rounds where, yes, Noxga is playing better, but on the other hand, Fluxo w7m, they have 0 map control to use it. And most of the time, they even get the opening engagement. But after this, they keep on burning players away. And then on the very last moment, this 1v2 from Nux. If there was one time where he needed to step up after such a lackluster kickoff, it was this game. And finally, I think no one believed in him. He gets up and 7-1. I just need to see this continue in the attack. They just need one attack to do it. They should be able to do it.
Exactly. That is the next challenge. Can you get over the hump of not being at 6-0? This is not a best of 1. You need to advance further than this. And that's the next challenge. Can you close this map and take it to a map 3? We'll send it back to our casters. Doesn't Ace. Take it away.
Well. I'm not entirely sure what to expect coming in here, Tim. I'd really like to know. And the only way we find out, of course, is by seeing how these rounds play out. We're going to start down inside the kitchen. Fluxo, if they get 7-0'd here, then God knows what happens on map 3.
You just feel like it's anybody's at that point. I was looking at the stats of Consular. I was kind of looking towards it. And well, it is not by any means a favourite map of either team. 6th preference for Los, 5th preference for Fluxo. But again, Fluxo have got, like they have in most places, to be fair, a good record on it, 4-1 recently. But Los have only played it once in the same space of time, but they've won it once. So it really, honestly, it's anybody's. It's anybody's if we get to the 3rd map. And at this point, I don't see any way that we don't. You know, I think Fluxo w7m will be better on defense than they have been on the attack because, quite frankly, they look clueless on attack. So I think they will be better now. But surely it's too little too late. How often do we see 6-0 comebacks? You know, they're so rare for a reason.
I think the last one I remember seeing probably was Sandbox being up 6-0 on Consulate and losing the map 8-6. I forget who they lost it to. It was at an event, but that's the last one that I can recall. It was ridiculous. I think Lowe's do this, and I think we get the map. I think we have to go to Consulate.
I think you're right. I think we are going to get treated to that last one, and it's going to be a big decider because, like I say, there is a world quite easily, and it's not, you know, it's not to sort of discount Los as a Brazilian team, but if you think about the Brazilian teams going to the major, you know, with the recent roster switch, you expect Team Liquid Alienware, FaZe, Fluxo w7m, and one other. That is the realistic expectation. And we're in a world where we might actually have 2 of those not making it. And that is just, if you'd have said that to me at the beginning of kickoff, you're like, oh yeah, 2 out of those 3 aren't going to be there. I'd have laughed. I'd have said absolutely not a chance.
All right, well, we're halfway through the round, and this is about the sort of timeline we tend to see off and say 1:30 is that point where you've got to be asking questions in the downstairs. You've got to be swinging hammers, or in this case, running rams across the top floor. You've got to start be looking towards the hatch. It isn't as quick as what we saw on a Fluxo, but that speed arguably cost them last time around, as we saw with players coming up from the white stairs and red stairs and biting them on the backside. They're showing a lot of confidence with having none of the flank watch themselves, no gridlock on side, no nomad on side, because they ain't scared. They know they can win this one if Fluxo come up and start asking questions, and no doubt the drones are also doing a hell of a lot of work for them. Down to the last 50 seconds here, though. Let's see how the execute starts to come together.
A lot of work being done. We could see utility after utility being dumped down those vertical holes to try and create the space to get in there and have somewhere to put the diffuser down. We've got Perez on the sense. He's going to likely be used, I would have thought, at bottom white stairs to maybe get the sense gadget rolled across here. They've got the...
Okay.
They had the play on dots there, but 2 shotgun pumps did not get it done, and they lose Dark along the way. That is a big, big loss. Los managed to get one, though, onto Lobin. That leaves us effectively 4 versus 3 here. Fluxo could still be in trouble. Time might be their savior. 4 versus 3. 7 seconds left to go.
Whoa.
And 1 kill after another reigns in. Fluxo w7m stand up for their first defense.
You know what this is going to be, Tim? It's going to be a game that goes 6-5, and then you're just going to see Los win the last one in the most ridiculous way, and it's going to be 7-5. They couldn't close it out and make it easy at 7-0. They've got to really drag us over hot coals to get to the very end. Honestly, that round to me looked like one they should have had done. Daffo, I think, got a little bit held up on Brown there, dealing with the barbed wire. Otherwise, he's in the most perfect position, because what you saw Fluxo do is go and try and recover Dart. They had a second player going in towards going to help him at the same time, and I was a little, not Dart, sorry. On the other side, they were trying to recover the player inside of VIP, and the second player was in there with him. Daffo had the perfect cut. Neither player could get back towards site. They were very much isolated. But I think he was a little bit too late to the action, gets swung on, dies to it anyway, and on site, the rest of Fluxo managed to clean up anyway. So it was a good recovery by them, but I did feel like Los were pretty close then to getting that done in 7.
Let's see if we can get it done in 8. That's got to be the question. 6. I'm going to be really annoyed if it's 7-2 and I was right with the scoreline and just wrong with the teams. We're going to have Fluxo W7M moving on to the mid floor. It's going to be mining, and this, I think, opens up an opportunity. It feels like a little bit of a gamble of a site here. I mean, it's usually fairly similar in win ratio to reading, but I just feel like reading's a slightly more secure site. And the reason that I say that is you have to take less control for mining. Piano is really hard to hold on to. That gives you your verticals directly into site. You've got that external window that opens up straight onto it as well, not to mention the other one at Red Stairs that you can then get, lines of sight through the wall as well. So it feels like a bit of a risk to me just taking mining.
Well, we'll see, Tim. Maybe they know something that we don't. And given the fact we've got a pulse on side, it just screams that C4s are going to be the name of the game. We've got 2 of those to play with in this round, along with the Solus. That is a lot of denial they're looking to try and make work here as well. Given the fact we're starting up on the top floor, it's a lot for Los to work their way through at the same time. So they'll be taking this one nice and carefully, looking in towards the Monty primarily and saying that as well. Again, very good for getting map control, but they're still looking to tell you what, forget about that, Tim. They want to rush in with a Monty? When have you seen this before? They're in for a plant already. Tim's going down the spot here as well as stop them just yet. Can that Pulse and the Solus get into spot? Yes, they can. As they've dealt with Nux, he's taken offline and so is the Pulse. They're carrying on though, Tim. They ain't pulling back here and getting on drones to figure out where to go. No, they're carrying on. Glaz in spot, but every time that diffuser tries to go down, there is a response. Fluxo slam that door shut, dots to the big round, and they hold on for what could have been a very, very quick end to that game.
I think it was worth a try, definitely. There was a little bit of space there, but it feels like Fluxo W7M were ready for that. I don't know whether they've, maybe seen lost through it previously, maybe in scrims, maybe in, matches, but it felt like they were kind of prepped and ready for that. That Nitro came out quickly onto the Monty. The Pulse will have really helped them with that as well. But then even the second time that diffuser started going back down, they were straight back onto it. Another kill show. I don't think that diffuser ever got past about 2 seconds towards being activated. So really, really good from Fluxo W7M. Well prepared. And I tell you what, where I said we don't often see 6-0 comebacks, I'm looking at it now and thinking, Los have not looked too sharp on the attack so far. This is back to what we saw on Fortress. And don't turn off. Don't go anywhere is what I'll say, because you might be about to see something really special.
This could become an all-timer, that is for sure. No one thought map 2 would go this way, given how the first one went. But where we are is where we are. We'll find out if Lowe's can get it over the line. All they've got to do to is pull off one round. I say it all the time, like, they only have to be right once. Fluxo have got to be right in every single decision, in every gunfight, in every single round from this point forward if they want to be able to hold on. They have to be perfect. There's no second chances. It's over and done with them. We go to that third map if they get it wrong even once. So far, so good across two. Now they're going to make it happen in their third.
Con's going to be working down those red stairs. He is tasked with preventing any sneaky bottom floor entrance and work your way up the stairs. But that doesn't look like it's going to be the game plan for Fluxo w7m. Looking across their position. They've got Con's... Sorry, for Loss. They've got Cons now working his way back up. He was looking for the jump out. He is punished. Does manage to take down Dash, though. Big loss, actually. That's the ram that he's managed to get. Again, you don't get to choose those, but it's worked out perfectly for Fluxo w7m.
It's, again, just numbers advantage, right? They just keep on coming out on top in these gunfights. They've been very, very good when things get chaotic, to be fair. I'll give them that. They've responded very, very well when it could be very, very easy to kind of back off and think, what the hell is going on? And sure enough, now the Uwu onslaught is here, boys. Nearly gets C4'd out here, Nux, but just about hangs on by the skin of his teeth. But that Monty, doesn't matter how much HP he's got, can still drop down the old shield and still be an absolute nuisance. Can't get pokeballed, though, as he was, and very deftly dealt with by Lobin.
Can we take Nux off the shields, maybe? Is that a possibility? Because
yeah,
it didn't go well for him on Fortress on the shields. He's had an absolute stormer of a first half here on Cafe. Played brilliantly. Goes back on the shields and just gets impact naded to the ground on the Monte. Loses his life and doesn't do much. 4 versus 1 now as Lobin manages to get another. And Los is looking like another round going against them. Daffo does manage to get 1 for his second in the round. So it will be an ace clutch if he makes it. 1 versus 3. They are spread out a little bit. There's one up on the top floor. There's one out towards White Stairs. So there is maybe an opportunity to isolate a couple of 1v1s for him here.
Best chance would have been that one there, but no. Dot's just ready with a shotgun. They pick him off. No questions asked. That's 3 in a row, Tim. Are we really going to see this go 6-6?
I think we might. In honesty, I think we might, because it looks like Los are attacking about as well as Fluxo w7m did. They're not taking any ground. They're not isolating players. They're never giving themselves man advantage. If they get a kill, there's always a trade there. And Fluxo w7m are defending every bit as well as Los did. So we see the bans coming in for the second quarter, the second half of this attack, if you will. And it's going to be, unsurprisingly, the pulse being taken away, because that pulse has really done them some damage.
All right. I mean, the timeout doesn't surprise me. We saw a very similar thing coming out during the first half as well after that third round. A bit more time after the operator ban comes in just to have a conversation about how the hell we get this one done. Because, again, those only have to find one. They only have to be right once. They've tried the rush planting towards mining. They've tried these slower rounds. They've tried everything, it feels like. But Fluxo have just always had the answer. And so now that's where a coach has to step in and really start offering some advice here on how they can turn this around, because the boys clearly can't quite find an answer by themselves.
No, there needs to be some serious input. We can see Dash just having his say as well. So a little bit of a collaborative effort there between RGL and coach. Just trying to redirect efforts here. The Monte was the other ban that came in. So Fluxo w7m not wanting to deal with those shields. Blitz and Monty taken away, so there is still Blackbeard available, but like I said, in all honesty, Nux hasn't had too much joy on the shields yet, so we're going to see him move across the Grim, which I don't think is a bad thing for them. And Fluxo w7m will take us down to the bottom floor. They are a team after my own heart. There is no top floor being played. It is kitchen, mining, and reading is their rotation of sites.
Right. Going for at least so far, a slightly slower approach again. I'm glad to see the solid snake coming out in this round as well for Lowe's, because I spoke about this back at the start of the show. On either side, we've got 2 players that actually love playing shields, and we've got a couple of players, if not 4 players, arguably, that love playing intel-focused operators. And we've seen the snake band away in this series. We saw it earlier on coming out from Fluxo. They have stepped away from it here, Tim. They're going for a bit more of a focus, I think, around the glass and trying to be a little bit cheeky. Still have that intel capability with the Deimos, which is also fine. You know, I think it's Dokubi, Deimos, and Snake are the 3 most played operators of Dark throughout Kickoff so far. Happily flex between the 3 of them. I just come back to what we said earlier on about Snake on a map like Cafe. It's perfect because of how the size of it works. Almost a freebie coming in there onto a spawn peak, but no, just about getting away with it.
Little spawn peak for you to try back in your ranked games there, just shooting the wall area. I am encouraging them, and the reason that it works is because you're not shooting out the glass. If you notice, they shot at the wall where the second little plank of the barricade was. It just drops that one, and it doesn't quite give that same audio cue that the attackers might be cautious of. So give it a whirl, see if you get any joy. Alternatively, out of the red stairs window, 2 minutes 48. Look to your right, see what you get. Anyway, moving on with the rest of this round. Daffo is going to be looking to get that boogie drone in through that window, but he's being very cautious about doing it because he knows that there is a presence there. He knows that he could be challenged.
Oh, no. You're having a glass walking through the secondary out as the main way of getting through the map. I'm not too sure, and they know that it's here as well. Looks away at the wrong time. Oh, no. Wait, no, it's inside a util. Shotgun blast coming out onto that wall will give it away. Could get a freebie, but no, he's crossed. There's your freebie, surely, yes. Takes a couple of shots, so a good reaction from Dots. Perez into a second, Tim. They could be on for it here.
Certainly looks like it. I'm not sure what Lobin was doing there. He didn't even pre-fire around the corner. His man had already died from that same position, same angle. Last 2 kills come in, and Los, they take us to map 3. Who saw that coming?
Thank you very much, Milos. Yes. We're in a world, Tim, where what felt like the impossible at the start of the day is very much a reality, and that is that Fluxo w7m do not make it to their first event in a couple of, well, nearly 3 years now. It's going to be absolutely chaotic if that's the way it goes. But what a series it will have been if Lowe's can get the job done. They start on the attack here, Fluxo on the defense. The bans have come on through, Tim. They're laying it out to nibble, aren't they? Ban the Monty, pray that he takes the blitz that he didn't have a good time on back on map 1. I don't know if it's going to work twice, Chief. We'll see.
Well, Lost don't seem to be taking the bait, Des. At the minute, he is at least picking Grim. We'll see whether that changes or not. But he had a good last round on Grim, so why not? I think it's a good shout. And in most cases, I think it's probably going to be more valuable for them on Consulate. We do see the Shields have a little bit of success bullying in from top yellow stairs sometimes, but I think the Grim can be just as good. We've got the book being brought along. Interesting to see where that's going to be used. Are they going to try and go underneath and open up the floor in meeting and the floor in CEO, create a little bit of space inside of site or not? We'll keep an eye on that as it progresses. Palu bringing the bandit is solely down to wanting to electrify that meeting wall, and it's an interesting one. We don't always see it done up on this top floor, but this time we will. I'd maybe like to see them even play out in copy, electrify the wall into admin, try and keep themselves safe and prevent the admin push for a little while, but I don't think we're going to get too much of that from Fluxo.
Don't expect we will either, but we'll see what plays out, see how it goes. Now Dot's got himself on this admin side, between the two, typically speaking about pushing in from the west side and towards yellow and office. It's seen as being a little bit easier at the start, a little bit harder later. Pushing in from the admin side, a bit harder to begin with, but makes your life a hell of a lot easier later. I think especially on this top floor, admin starts do tend to be the go-to thing that we see these days, unless someone's going for a particularly insane, rush in towards bathroom and top yellow, or try and go in the window for a plant. It leads to all kinds of craziness, which can make the rounds very unpredictable. So I think a more like steady Eddie road is always going to be going via admin. That's where Los have got most of their players starting off.
See if they can disrupt anybody over that way. We've got Dordes and Dots currently being positioned over there. Dots will be downed and taken out, and it's by that man. Get him off the shields. Nux getting the entry with the Grim.
Well, you need sometimes, doesn't it? Seems to be all right. Actually, it's in this Nux guy,
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it, when he's got a gun?
Maybe it was Brother playing back in map 1. That's why he was 1-5 on the entry. It makes sense now.
He's 1-0 on the entry here because he's taken down none other than the smoke as well. So that's going to be 3 toxic babe canisters lost. Big damage done to the lineup. We do see the last second bandit trick coming in from Palu, though. Nux just being caught out with that would suggest maybe they were unaware of Palu's position inside of the closet, just waiting for exactly that. In goes the book, though. I was questioning where is this going to be used, and one of those areas has been on that closet wall just to try and back Palu up, which looks like it has been successful. And now we can start pushing up to put a little bit of pressure top yellow, create multiple areas of attack here.
Yeah, they've got that early entry, and then since then it's been more about posturing and making sure they've got the right levels they need. I tell you what, that's a free one, isn't it? Perez removing Palu, can do nothing but just wait to die there. Perez into a second. He has blown this one wide open. There is a third. Lotus will get a free spin for the second, but no, it's a shield up in his face. Just don't drop it, man. Let everyone else get the kills, Dash. It's fine. Does restrain himself there. The rest of his team flood in. Los take round one. Tim, a crucial attack on Consulate.
Oh dear, Fluxo, is this the beginning of the end? We are only one round in, but as a reminder for everybody, this is map 3 of a best of 3, the winner of which qualifies to the Salt Lake City Major by making the lower bracket final, the loser of which is eliminated, will not qualify, has no other route to get to the Major. I cannot make it any clearer. And Fluxo w7m are one of those 3 teams, particularly one of those 3 rosters that we expect from Brazil to be making every major event, as they have done since the Manchester Major way back when. It's certainly got them on the back foot now with Lost taking that first attack. 1-0, things kick off, and I can tell you that Consulate is generally defender-sided, so Fluxo need to be having a good start here in the first half. It hasn't gone like that after round 1. We're going to move on and defend Piano this time around. No, it looks like basement, actually, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that leaning in towards, looking on things like the pulse here, definitely pushing towards that. I think I'm in the first floor.
It's Piano.
Yeah. Real good. I was like, Castle downstairs would have been a bit confusing. I'd have been like, why Castle downstairs? Like, I've never really seen Castle ran down in the basement, so it does make sense that it is here on this first floor instead. Now, Lobos is going to keep things busy upstairs, as is Palu. It's 2 players for Los to have to work their way through on this top floor. And on a map as bottlenecky as this, you know, we've seen the mute get picked up an awful lot throughout this game because there are so many single doorways to have to push your way through. Mute jammers are so effective at impeding information gain for the other side, unless they expose themselves a little bit too easy. C4. He dropped away at the smallest slither of a rip sound coming out and still lost 3/4 of his life.
Yeah, good job done by Lobin there, just to soften up a fight for later on in the round. Heavy hold inside of admin as well. Quite a commitment here from Lobin, looking to get aggressive. He hears them out there. We will have his phone being rung by Dockerby, so he decides that's his time to say goodbye. Doda's taking a ton of damage along the way there as well. 5 versus 5 still. No entry kill has been found yet. And Fluxo w7m just struggling to get themselves inside of the map. Don't need to, though, as they find a kill through the windows. Perez onto Lobin, takes down Striker. That is 5 versus 4. Sentry, should I say. 5 versus 4.
As I often said, like, well, I said back in the first round, admin is typically one of the harder parts to take there. Like, you need to force utility in to make a player move until they can then die. They haven't had to do that there. Lobin has very much given himself up, and it's, a couple of times now across both rounds that we've seen players on the side of Fluxo just go down to a player being sat on the window waiting for them to run by. So making it a bit too easy at times, I feel, here, Fluxo, for Los. We are down to that last 75 here, though, and certainly not looking too bad. Still got a phone call in back pocket with Dark. That's going to come out now as Dots disappears down into the basement. This should really be the time when Lost start to take some ground.
Yeah, you would have expected so. And 5 versus 4, they've got themselves a good advantage, got themselves inside of the map now, all established. And we can see here, Fluxo w7m are being kind of pushed from pillar to post at the minute. They're playing underneath. Cons is inside of sight. He's the one that I would expect to be downstairs. Palu does have Nitro in hand, so he can affect things from down there, but it was him and Dots that were downstairs. Palu has made his way back up. You would expect them to get this one. They are aware of his position, but just not wanting to fight it too heavily. I'm not sure they are convinced, actually.
They must know, surely, or you'd at least hope so. Nash has got away with the one. They're still trying to move them around. They're trying every possible flank they can think of here. And sure enough, Cons and Palu are rewarded. Dots is also struck. He was the one that had to make something happen. He gets rid of the DKB underneath. That's the crucial kill they need. And now there's only 2 left. This one looks pretty cut. Los were in a great spot to maybe close this round out. But Fluxo, they battle back to him, coming out of the woodwork there to bring down players.
Yeah, it was a 5 versus 3 there in favour of Los, but Fluxo w7m getting it done. Another one of those big clutch moments. 3 versus 5, closing out the round. 1-1, and they desperately needed that because there was a moment there where Los hadn't even got inside the map, but they were finding kills. They were getting aggressive through the windows, and you just thought it was going to be another one, and it becomes a slippery slope for Fluxo w7m then. But they've dug in deep. They've got a toehold on the cliff face. As slippy as it might feel at the minute, they've got themselves into this one. It's 1-1, and they are this time going to play behind the clash downstairs.
All right, one apiece. Always a nice way to start it out. We're not going to have any rollovers, Tim, which can often be the concern, like we've seen in our last 2 maps when a team starts out particularly strong, the side just never really gets going, and it can end up in the kind of 6-0 that we saw to kick off that first half of the last game. Downstairs was an interesting one, and truthfully, I can't think of the last time that I've seen a team go for like an aggressive hold this deeply, maybe out towards here. Because I'm seeing we've got a mirror. Like sometimes you'll see a mirror placed onto the wall that it is to oversee what's going on inside a server. But doubling up for a clash and a mirror could be really interesting.
Match is going to be got, and maybe just going to prevent that rear-sided push a little bit, or at least any designs or ideas.
The clash has gone spiral, to be fair now, so a bit of a change, I think.
Yeah, a little bit of a switch up. I think it's just going to be a deterrent, is the point here. Hatches are closed out, barbed wires in place, clash is kind of being seen over there, mirror windows, so no surprise. We see all the attention coming towards front, and clash is relocated. So smart play from Fluxo w7m on the defense, but how about this? Plant's already going down. Palu manages to find one onto Dash, but it's not going to matter. They've got the cover of the glass. Nux has gone in and just absolutely stealth planted here. I don't know how much Fluxo w7m knew about that, but this is, as it always has been, one of the toughest retakes in all of Siege.
What I'm going to say is, Nux seems to take a little bit of a leaf out of the book there of what Dash has done. That's how you make use of a blitz. When there's an execute going down, when there's things to focus on, that isn't you trying to go in 1vx, because this has been a wonderful execute so far. This is a big recovery effort. They've got the clash to play behind. They're going to try and make use of the keepers, but look what's going on upstairs. Perez just going to floor bang on towards Kongs, spins for a second on towards Lobin. Los have really pulled one out the back here. Tim Perez is good for 3, trying to get the defuse going down. Now, can they see the player? Yes, they can. Perez makes it 4, and Los go up 2-1.
Perez has just won that round for them. Quick thinking, get the glass upstairs, use the sniper rifle to open up the floor, gets a kill as he's doing it. Nicely done, and just manages to hold on there. There was one fight where it could have been tricky. He flipped to the secondary, and they were actually fighting back up through that opened up hole, but he manages to win it and then close out the round. Big plays from Perez, and what a rush round from Los. Seeing the opportunity, love a bit of opportunity spotting, and they've gone in and got the job done. Brilliant stuff. Great use of the smoke, great use of the blitz, created that space, but only as much as they needed, and they also draw the tactical timeout from Fluxo w7m.
Yeah, I don't think you can start off in your first 3 rounds losing 2 of your defenses. It feels like a car crash, because this is a map, I think, as we've all seen, as you said at the very start, Tim, it's one of, if not our most defender-sided map that we know, because it's very bottlenecky, because there are so many rooms to walk through. There are so many opportunities for defenders to trip you up, as we've seen Fluxo try and do once or twice, like back in round 2, with having a couple of players dancing around downstairs, the pool's feeding a lot of information around, but Los are actually finding their very sight and objective focused gameplay is working absolute wonders for them. They're focused heavily on going for the executes, less so on the kills outside of round 1, and they're being rewarded for it. Fluxo, I don't think right now feel like they've got a super coherent game plan, and I think that's why attack timeout has come in so soon. They cannot let this continue.
Yeah, I think definitely needed. We're going to see them back up to the top floor. Next bands come in. It's going to be Denari and Grim. So Nux did bring the Grim along in round 1 for this particular site. So we're going to have to see a different lineup. I'm glad to see we've seen Shields played twice so far for Los, and both of them have been brought by Dash. So Nux has been moved off the Shields for this. Whether it's map specific, whether that's always the plan, or whether it's based on what we've seen through the day, I don't know. But either way, the change seems to be working for him. He's got kills, he's got a plant, he's really doing some great work for the team, which has been a little bit of a struggle for him through the first couple of maps at times. He had that great first half in map 2, of course, but I think getting away from the shields has definitely helped a little bit. So we go back up to the top floor. We've got that Tachanka in place again. Cons wasn't able to really impact on the round too much, I didn't feel, with that operator last time. So again, let's watch that through this round and see just exactly what impact is found from those Shamika canisters.
Ours actually go towards Nux playing on the Capital. Both of these teams quite big users of Cappy, actually. When I was looking through all the operators that these teams have played throughout Kickoff, you got a couple of, dare I say, Capital mains on the side of Lost inside their top 3. On the other side, it was just a one player for the side of Fluxo, but granted, an extremely powerful operator. How much utility he carries with him while being decent gun, 3-speed, hard breaches, you know, does an awful lot for a team. But no one want to see one on side is because they got a part of the map they really want control of. So keep an eye on when those bolts are used, where the smokes are going down, where the fire is being placed, because that'll really indicate that there's a bit of a set piece play coming out from the side of the attackers.
We just see the panic Kiba there. I think it was intended to close up the window like that one does. But given that there was an upside down rappel as he poked his head out, he thought, dip back, and then ended up with the Kiba at 90 degrees to where it was supposed to be. That nade does not do the job. He actually sends it too far and then just says, no, I'll just melee the barbed wire and take it out. But yeah, at the minute, Law says the attacker's doing a good job here of clearing utility and setting themselves up for that admin-sided push.
You know, I do respect from Dodes there. The main thing I spoke about in the first couple of rounds is how they lost players to windows with seemingly no contest, just players running past these windows and being shot on their way through because of pressure coming in behind them. Making use of the keepers there might seem like a massive waste, but it did mean that Dodes managed to get back to join the rest of his team and break that extended hold without losing his life. And now, of course, you can see Perez has taken over that space where he was earlier on, but it means there is still that extra gun on side for Fluxo, so it's not the end of the world.
First 2 Shamika canisters do come out, and we can see that they are being focused towards that meeting door. At this point, if you play them kind of quietly through the round, we hear 3 more go there. I think it was actually just 2. If you just focus them towards that meeting door, he should be able to burn out the majority of the rest of the round. So I like this play. If they can keep Cons safe there and just allow him to continue doing that, it's going to mean that Lost have to find another way in. And that other way, at the minute, is blocked by toxic smoke. So good stuff on the defense.
Right, Spark coming in for now while they still wait for all the fire to burn out and the smoke to dissipate, which it has now done. Nash taking a hell of a lot of damage actually as he eats himself one of those Ella gadgets, loses a lot of HP and finally goes down for it. But Perez is on an absolute tear this game, Tim. Inside 4 rounds, he's up to 10-2. Could have made it 11, but it doesn't matter because Nux, we can't get his name out of our mouth today, Tim, but on this map, he's having an impact. Los get another round. They're 3-1 on the attack. And now I'm starting to be very, very worried for Fluxo that they will not be joining us in Salt Lake City.
Well, you just asked the question, is it becoming a bit of a mental block here because they just don't seem to be able to get rounds over the line? They're not playing their own game. They're not playing to the standard we would normally see from them. And Los, you can see, you know, the same thing, but in reverse. They are absolutely buzzing right now, jumping out of their seats, celebrating every kill, and they are rolling on confidence. They could be rolling all the way to Salt Lake City at this rate because it is going phenomenally well for them. So we move into round 5, 3-1 on the scoreboard. It's going to be Piano. They're going to continue that rotation that we saw last time around. Don't blame them for not being too keen to go down to basement, to be honest, given the difficulty that they had holding on to it last time. So again, it's going to be a bit of a fight over top floor, I would expect. We've got the Ram there. We've got the Snake there. We've got the Blitz there. No, they're putting Nux back on the shield. We'll see how he does. But yeah, it's all about this screams clearing top floor, especially with the air jabs as well.
All right. We're going back in time here, Tim. Back to map 1. Whereas, again, as I said earlier on, the biggest issue was Nux on the Blitz would often go in and try and do something 1v1 or 1vx, whatever, and they would pay the price for it. I don't think that's so much like an individual Nux issue as much as like a team issue there of not all being on the same page. I think Fortress, they'll look at and kind of say, yeah, whatever, that's fine. Consulate, very, very different story, I think, here. With the combining of the Snake along with the Blitz, they can get a hell of a lot done here. So I really want to see how they do with him in this round and how Nux approaches the round in particular.
See there, just using that scanner. Perez on the F2, by the way, with the way he's playing, is absolutely terrifying right now. Nux goes dashing in. They know that there's one to be dealt with. He knows where the fight is. He chases him down and forces him out.
Beautiful.
Much better blitz played. Much better. Lobin did get one in there, but it's 3 versus 2 as Los continue to do damage here. Dots is down, unlikely to be collected because it's too much of a risk. It leaves you so exposed. Diffuser goes down. It's now 2 versus 3. They knew they had the opportunity while they would go for the exfil into those post-plant positions. Dots manages to take down Daffo, but 1 versus 2. Still so much work and so little health.
There's nothing he can do to save this one now. He is at his pants, absolutely pulled down, flashed out as well. Should be dead to rights, but even they aren't chancing their gunfight, and that one's in because Perez is there. You know what? That is the second kill in that round, by the way, that Perez has got off the back of Nux's play. This is what I meant about playing as a team and not trying to go constant 1v1. Even off the back of him vaulting in, a little bit of team play you saw come out. Perez first drops down the scans to know exactly where a player is, and then calling him like a hound, Nux just comes charging in on the shield, but the most important thing is Perez stays right behind him, gun up and at the ready. So Nux goes in, draws attention, flashes, forces the smoke back. It's a free kill to Perez over his shoulder. You just seen it happen there again at the end of a round. Flashes the final player, and Perez then gets the kill with the F2. Pairing up like that has been absolutely wonderful for them. It's what they were missing back in map 1. It's delivering results, Tim. They're up 4-1 on the attacking side of Consulate. That is magical.
It's a dream. It is an absolute dream come true for Los right now. And if we have a look at their prior performance on Consulate, we've only got 1 map over the last sort of 4 or 5 months, 6 months. So it's not an ideal stat because it's a small sample size, but defensive win rate, they won 5 out of 6 rounds that day in that matchup, and it was against Black Dragons 12 days ago, so we're not looking a million miles ago. They were very, very good on the defense here. Almost a clean sweep. Looks like w7m could be in serious trouble, and they could be left at the end of the day. You know, we spoke about it earlier on as if it was this distant thing that it's unlikely, but I guess it could happen. And now we're looking that it is a very real possibility that as part of their debrief, they are talking about how they did not make it to the major.
Tell you what, Tim. Are you a fan of crumble for dessert?
Well, I'm not usually, no, and I don't think Fluxo w7m will be after today, Des, either.
Well, Tim, I don't care whether you like it or not, because all you're getting here is a hell of a lot of crumble. They are falling apart before our very eyes. Now, they've already used the timeout. This could end up being a 5-1 half. That is bruising for anyone to face the prospects of going onto their attacking side of Consulate. Maybe, though, we have the craziness of a very, very attacker-leaning Consulate today. I don't know. We'll find out what we see and when we get into that second half. For now, Lowe's very, very focused, though, on their gadgetry in this round. Looking at what they brought along, lots of vertical play. Look at Dark here. He's got underneath with absolutely no problem at all. Everyone's so focused on what could be a potential plant coming on through. They can now do a little bit of work to open up things below. There's no Grim to make use of, but there are flashes they can make use of. And I think that's his main game plan here is distract those that are sat trying to contest a potential plant going on through. That's why Thatcher is in place. See him. Just by a matter of pixels,
he knows that they're there. He knew that they were there. Gets the kill. Great entry. Honestly, you don't always see he gets cut down by Apollo. I was just about to praise the book play underneath. You don't always see too much of it like that. That was real old school, out and out. Get in, open up the ceiling above you. That's Buck's great strength. Ram and Sledge can do downwards vertical work. Buck's the only one that gets it going on like that above. And I love that from them to kick things off. A great pickup as well. We've seen that Ella used repeatedly to stop plant attempts, keeping those Gashmot mines in pocket, send them in when the plant's going in, and prevent it from happening. But they do have a bit of a problem now. How do they deal with this Tachanka?
Oh god, they're going in, they go through the fire as well. Cons in for good for one. Arlo in for a second too. Perez gets one, but he's out by the fire. This has been much better, but arguably a little bit of a limp attack coming out from Los again. Very objective focus, but made it a little bit too simplistic for the other side to deal with it.
Yeah, that was definitely this hasn't worked. Let's throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. From Los there, it definitely was. Fluxo w7m doing well to stand up to that. They recognise the problems. I think the hinge there on that round was the book underneath. If the book could have continued doing more work, I think as soon as they lose the book, they've got big problems because they can't deal with the Tachanka. I think if the book can continue doing work and causing problems, it would have been a different outcome.
Oh, okay. I agree. I think the second round will be massive for them. But of course, you need to go and hear what our desks think about that first off. It's been an entertaining one. Milosh and Leo, what did you make of that?
Well, it absolutely has been, Des. And Lost now up 4-2, 4 rounds in the attack. Great performance, definitely improving from before. Leo, what has been or who has been the X factor in this Lost comeback?
I think Paris is really leading the charge here. I think, in most of the rounds, he's the one that's the most involved, but he just won 2 rounds in a row just for them. Like, if you look at the round 3, for example, he's the one that manages to get all of the kills after the diffuser is planted. It was a decent, retake attempt, but he's the one that cuts him off by playing the right way. And then here. Yeah, we're just showing the same round, but in round 4, the round afterwards, he also goes crazy and gets a crazy 4K. Overall, I think that the game plan from Lost, trying to be as objective oriented as possible, is the right play. I'm struggling to see or recognize Fluxo w7m here. I don't see why there is no reaction from this. Most of the rounds, they're just trying to play the objective denial, and they just don't do it. Like, they have touch and cat, they have smoke, and exactly like the last round, for once it works, but for the rest, how many more rounds can they play and try to defend like this? It happens multiple times where they just went to the CEO bomb site 3 times, played the exact same strat 3 times, and eventually it worked because Lost did just a simple CEO window take. But like the rounds before that, it's an admin take or it's a skylight take, and there's no reaction from them. It feels really weird that they're 1 map away from the major, and you expect a team that have that experience to be able to adapt on the fly and come up with different strategies. And instead, all I see is just the same thing played over and over again with very small adjustments that just don't seem to work. Now they're on the back foot, back against the wall. If Lost wins 3 rounds, that's it. It's gone for their major dream. It's the end of a 2-year streak, and they have to do so on the attack. It is incredible comeback from Lost, but also what is going on in the heads of Fluxo w7m? We need a reaction here.
They got to focus up, and if you ask me, just look at Paulu's cam during the game, and that probably should give you all the info you need on if this comeback is happening or not. But you're going to hear it anyways from Ace and Des. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Milosh. Yep, time to focus up and lock in. Could find yourself denied here a chance to go to the major. This is your last chance really for Fluke. So they've got 3 lives to play with, Tim. Los are in the driving seat. If they can pull off the kind of defenses that we saw come out of them previously, then this one could be over and done with before you know it. Let's see what happens, how things shape up. Our bans that have come on through have been the Grim and the Blitz. So a lot of shield play today, so no big surprise there. Valkyrie, an interesting band to take away, and his army is not going to be a surprise to anybody.
Yeah, I think largely as expected with the Azami and the Grim at least. It's no surprise either. Well, the Denari has been brought along. Denari actually drew a ban in the last half, so we do see some pretty interesting and pretty effective Denari setups around this admin side especially. We're going to have the bandit batteries, as I asked for in the first round. It's not to say Paolo didn't do it. We didn't really see what happened there, although he did have one in pocket to be able to bandit trick, so it would suggest maybe not. But they've got them applied on that side of things, so they can make it difficult to get through admin into that break room wall, and just, again, give them the opportunity to stay in there a little bit longer than they might otherwise and make it difficult for Fluxo w7m to take that side of the map.
Absolutely. A lot of things to slow them down when they get there, though, so really speed is of the essence. At least as it started, well, as you can see, 30 seconds in. Not too much to shout home about, but they are getting their focus in on the side of the map that we spoke about earlier on in admin. A bit harder to take at the start, but it does let you move through quite aptly after that. I think on Lotus' side, they obviously want to try and delay here and just try and waste as much time as they can. So it means the clock becomes that enemy for Fluke, so the later into the round that we go.
Just having a look round on the defaults, see if they can pick up where this attack is coming from. I don't think they will ever be spotting out any players, or I wouldn't expect it. They should be taking those out, but it's the absence of the cams that tells them where the push is coming from. Demos doing a little bit of work underneath. Lobin just opening up a couple of key spots, try and prevent too much pressure in those areas. But how about that? The spray around the corner. Perez's reign of terror continues as he manages to find the entry. They do deal with those trip connectors pretty easily, but not the swing. It's Perez. He continues to run all over them. 15-3. He is single-handedly, in some ways, dragging his team towards the major at the minute. I love to see this.
He's got more kills than the rest of his team combined at this point, Tim. He is absolutely frying. And it was a nice attempt from Fluxo. This little set-piece play between two of them using nades to ensure they weren't swung on. But as we saw, the first one solo at the stairs, Perez gets an easy swing on one, escapes, and then manages to come back for the second. Absolutely miraculous stuff. Now, Fluxo are going to be scratching their heads. How the hell do we recover a 2 versus 4 here? Because that gap is about to widen to 3 rounds. Tries he might. In goes Parley for 1. They get the player behind the bending. I'm not too sure they did. Dafo's in for another. I'd be on for a 4K in the round as Donis has got a single point of HP to his name. That fire suddenly starts being increasingly deadly, Tim.
Yeah, it really does. And I thought that Lust had actually opened the door for him a little bit. The player at long desk and vending didn't really react to what was going on in front of them. Dordes now knows exactly where the Tajanka is. It won't come as a massive surprise, but it doesn't matter because the crossfire was established and that man was there again on the cover. Perez takes him down. First defense is successful for Los. It puts them on to 5. 2 more rounds. There's just 2.
Another couple of Perez 3Ks, that's him. I think it'll be enough.
No problem.
Just a cakewalk for him.
Say less.
It has been, literally, it has been scary how good he has been today. Because otherwise, again, I thought Fluxo's idea was good there. Push up Visa stairs, right idea. Just, they came up against someone that's a bit more switched on in the moment, unfortunately. And Perez has absolutely deleted them, and there is no recovering from there. Downstairs, things become... I don't want to say a bit simpler, but they are arguably a little bit simpler. It's often very, very objective focused. The only real control that you need upstairs is going to be inside a piano. Very rarely do you see this full, like, massive full map roam clear all the way up from top floor down. So there is an option here, I think, for Fluxo to be able to finally get something on the board and just stabilize a little bit.
Stabilize. Well, I think we might be a bit beyond the stabilization opportunity. You know, the time has come and gone now. It's about doing anything you can. This is about getting every... They can't afford to let Los have another round in the next 3, I don't think. Fluxo w7m need to bring this back to 5-5 because otherwise Los get to that point where they just need one successful defense. They just need that one site that they can hold down. And right now, I would back them to do it. So I honestly think this is 3 essential rounds to Fluxo w7m on the attack.
All right, they've even got the setup there, as you saw a second ago, behind the shield. So they've got even these little spots around the map they can play behind. Lots to choose from on the side of Fluxo, a number of problems that they've then got to unravel. It's like a bunch of mini games all taking place across the map that they have to unravel and deal with before they can even think about actually executing in the first place. Things like Mozzie's certainly not going to help in terms of the incel denial around the map itself. By the looks of it, Tim, they're even going to check everything upstairs. And as I say that, my eyes got drawn to Lobin, who's 0-7 on this map. That's a real stinger because he's been quite a force for them on a couple of maps throughout the playoffs, but here, largely invisible.
Yeah, it's certainly been a tough start for him on Consulate, and you look at the, you know, what's the 10% that this team need to get rounds? What's the 20% performance increase that's going to help them? And right now on this map, it certainly would be Lobin getting himself involved on that kill feed, but whether he's able to or not, we'll see. Cons rushes downstairs. I think he sees maybe an opportunity, takes out a Razor Bloom, just removes that destructive ingredient as well. And that man, just as we ask for it, he delivers. Lobin manages to find the entry, but who else? Perez is there with a response. Honestly, this feels like Perez versus Fluxo w7m at the minute. And Perez is coming out on top. 18-3 in just 7 rounds, Des.
He's just flowing, and he is not literally Team Liquid, but he is liquid, making it look so easy. They can't contain him. They can't stop him. He just seems to find a way in every single round to have an enormous impact. I'm starting to get nervous here. This could be another multi-kill building up for him. He's had 3 in the game so far, 2 4Ks and a 3K. And that's even ignoring Cons' 2K, which doesn't really seem to have done much for them. There he is again, Tim, on for a second. The shield drops on through, but yet again, Fluxo find themselves 2v4 and seconds away from being 1 round away from not making it to the major.
and one of those is a shield. And I often talk about this. As you get to lower man count, the shield becomes less and less powerful because, of course, they have to drop to ADS, they have to use a pistol. It's not ideal. Really, what you want is multiple options of guns that can fight along with them. But how about this? They start fighting back. They managed to turn it around. If Fluxo w7m ever needed a 2v4, it was now. I said they needed 3 rounds back to back. I didn't think they were going to get the first, but they lock it out and they keep on fighting for their spot.
It's just enormous to turn that one around because, I mean, in a way, I'm half not surprised because there's one player that was left alive in that 2v4 that has done it time and time again. It was Palu. Dots was baiting, we're trying to get the diffuser down as well. And it was off the back of Palu, one being in a great spot to get the first couple of kills, but then for him to be able to collect the third off the back of it was all off Dots, just baiting a lot of time and attention, being on the shield, getting the diffuser down. So although, yes, there were 2 players left alive, that was a massive 3K coming up from Palu there to save the round for his team. We now go into what we often describe to him as the most crucial round in a game. Round 9, when the score is 5-3. Why is it so crucial?
Because it's what you face on the back of it. You're either in touching distance, Des. If you Fluxo w7m and you win this one, you are back within 1 round. You've got some momentum. You can start fighting your way back in. It seems possible. Whereas if Los win this, you face 3 match points in this case. 3 points to qualify to the major. One after another after another. Los only need to be right once. It is a huge ask to come back from that. I think mentally, the difference in score between 6-3 and 5-4 is possibly the biggest gulf that you will find between 2 different scores. So let's see who comes out on top of it. We've got Perez still going crazy. 19-4. If he gets 20 here, we often see, you know, great performances from players with overtime rounds that don't get 20 kills. I don't know for a fact, but it wouldn't surprise me if this is the, or at least one of the fastest games we've ever seen somebody hit 20 kills if he gets one in this round.
I want to see him really press on and just hit like 27 plus.
Imagine.
Let's match that best of 1 Onigiri record. I think it was actually, was it Onigiri and one of the player that hit 27 once upon a time? Oh, it's Palu. Yes, back at the OJ Pit Miner in 2019. Wouldn't that be one hell of a story? Especially if it's if that's the way that Palu doesn't make it to the first major since Manchester. You know, yeah, absolutely crazy stuff. But at the minute, the Mute has taken a little bit of damage. Dark there is down to just about half health. Perez gets his 20. I'll have to look back at the Onigiri round and see how... Perez has hit 3K! Of course he has! Of course he has! Oh, I thought he could make it a 4th, maybe, and he's still got a chance to do just that, Tim. He's going to keep on cooking. Cons has got a lot to save here in this 1 versus 4. 22 kills, man! Go on, Perez.
It's just absolutely madness.
Go on, Cons. Just give it to him at this point. Just give it to him.
Perez is on the verge of qualifying for the major, and he's going to take his 4 friends along with him. Very kind of him, because right now this is absolutely the Perez show. You can see why the Denari gets brought along on this site. Makes it so difficult to push up those stairs or through admin. Daffo finds the final kill, and Los stairs, they are in the driving seat. A number of chances now, a number of rounds to lock in their position at Salt Lake City and to create what will undoubtedly be the biggest upset, I think, of Kickoff around the world, I will say. Team Secret not making it was big. This is so much bigger. Fluxo w7m not making the major will be seismic.
It'll be something else. I was speaking to a couple of the other guys that we worked with yesterday and saying, oh, you know, we've worked 4 days this week. Like, we've worked 3 at the time. We've cast 4 games, like the last 2 that we've had. The opposing teams that lost those best of 3 series collectively won 4 rounds. It was like, I think it was 7-1, 7-0 in one, and then like 7-3, 7-0 in the other. I was like, we barely got a close game. And today we're coming into Fluxo versus Los. I think we're going to find this might be like the quickest we've ever cast across 3 separate days in history. I really thought Fluxo today would come in and 2-0 this. Maybe a push 2-1, given we were going to Fortress as that first map. I did not expect to walk into what we have got here. This is turning into one hell of an upset, but you can't say it's one that isn't deserved, given the resilience that we've seen coming out of Los. They were battered and bruised after Fortress, but Cafe and Consulate, they've set up a kingdom, and they look ready to don that crown and walk into that major heads held high. And for Paolo and Fluxo, there will be a lot of questions after this game.
Absolutely, no question that Los will have earned their spot, through sheer grit, determination, and willpower. Will have got them there and over the line. That and 22 kills from Perez so far. It looks like it's the sort of game that could deliver a new best of one kill. Well, not best of one, but a one map kill record. But I think he's going to run out of time, Des.
Even if not that, Tim, his kills per round right now is 2.44. He's killing literally half the enemy team every single round by himself. His cost is 100%. He has had an impact in every single... Impact is understating it, I feel, Tim. It has been mortifying. Must be, as a Fluxo fan, to see what he is doing to them right now.
It's certainly a tough one to take. I think easy job for the observers. Just press number 4 and leave it on Perez the whole. Because you're going to see every single kill in most rounds. We do have an opener, and it's not good for Fluxo. W7m Dordes is taken down. Nitro goes out, does no damage. 5 versus 4 Los find themselves one step closer. They've begun the journey, Des, and they are just about seeing the end of it. Could they do this? Just a few more steps. 1 minute 45, and they could make a small piece of history here in SAL Kickoff.
I want to say there's no rush because there isn't, but the rush really starts to build up for Fluke. So now we're over half. Nearly took out 2 drones with a single nade there. That could have been a little bit of a discerning moment, given I think they're 2 of the last drones that they have available on the entire team. Perez gets the down, or get that completed and collect the 23rd, no doubt, by someone at some point. But still being diligent and wary about where the next push is going to come in from, completes that, and steps in behind the vending machine. I wonder if they know that he's there. Maybe Storm on the Twitch drone. It depends if they were being attentive.
Surely the downed player would have known where the kill was from, but right now you don't bank on anything when it comes to Fluxo W7m. They've really struggled to keep their heads in this one. It feels the pressure has maybe just got a little bit too much for them, waiting for the push coming from top spiral. They know that he's there. They decide to dip away. 50 seconds. They're going to play back onto site and try to hold them from there.
It's very, very diligent, I think, that as well. Seeing the smoke come on through, knowing there's a glass that's going to follow, don't hang around and go for the challenge. You haven't got to be egotistical. I know you run 23 kills, but we can be a little bit chill. 1, 2 kills come back. Perez gets 1 back in the mix, though, Tim. Darts on towards Dash. It's a 2 versus 2 to decide that major.
This is so close right now. Dots is just edging his way in towards site. He's going to start putting that diffuser down. Dips off, looking like he might just be trying to bait out a challenge. Goes for it again. Now that the cover's in place, this is your chance. Perez does it for 1, but the trade is there. 1v1, 10 seconds left, Des.
They've got to go for the plant, though, Tim. They've got no choice. Daffo can be absolutely enormous for his team here. Fire going over the top. Dots is going to stick it. He comes off. F2 is going, but Daffo finds it first. Perez will sit on 25, but Lost have embarrassed Fluxo today and got a very much deserved spot at the Salt Lake City Major.